Meanwhile, in Queens, on a December corner, you're falling asleep to the rhythm of work. Welcome to another slow story from everyday New York. Tonight, Marcus Rodriguez's Saturday shift running a food cart at Roosevelt and 74th. A cold December morning, steam rising from hot water, the metallic rattle of subway trains below, warm air drifting up from sidewalk grates, a shift where the work is repetitive, physical and simple. Loading hot dogs into warming trays, pouring coffee for commuters hurrying past, counting change with cold fingers, and watching Spider-Man swing overhead during the holiday parade. Nothing dramatic happens here, and that's the point. No emergencies, no crises, just a steady, predictable rhythm of feeding a neighborhood through a winter day. The comfort of routine, the satisfaction of small transactions repeated thousands of times. Coffee poured, hot dogs wrapped, change counted, customers served and sent on their way, warmer than they arrived. This is the work. Ordinary, essential, invisible to most, but felt by everyone who stops for breakfast on a cold morning. Who needs something hot to carry them through the next few hours? Tonight, the world asks nothing of you, the small comfort of being needed, even in a city full of heroes. So take a slow breath, let your shoulders drop, and allow the familiar patterns of Queens to support you, however that looks for you tonight. Let the rhythm of this work carry you. Let the repetition soothe you. Let the ordinary details of one man's Saturday wrap around you like a warm blanket against the cold. It's 4:30 in the morning. You wake in your Jackson Heights apartment. The radiator clanks its metallic rhythm through the darkness, a sound so familiar it's become part of the architecture of sleep, the percussion section of your dreams. The heat pulses unevenly, erratically, following no pattern you can discern. Too much and then not enough. The building's old pipes expand and contract with the temperature changes, creating that distinctive metallic conversation with themselves, talking back and forth through the walls, through the floors, through every apartment in this 6-story walk-up that's been standing since 1952, that's housed generations of working families, that's seen neighbourhoods transform around it while remaining stubbornly, beautifully itself. Steam moves through them with a hiss and groan, protesting the work, complaining about being forced into motion at this ungodly hour when the world should be sleeping. Your bedroom is cold despite the radiator's protests, despite its best efforts to warm this space, this rectangle of air that you call home. The heat rises to the ceiling, where it pools uselessly, trapped against the plaster, while the floor remains frigid, while your feet search for warmth that isn't there. Through the window, streetlights cast orange pools on empty pavement, sodium vapor lights that make everything look slightly unreal, slightly theatrical, like a stage set for a play about urban life, about the small dramas that unfold on city streets at hours when most people sleep. A car passes, its headlights sweeping across your ceiling, creating moving shadows that dance briefly across the water-stained plaster before disappearing, ghosts of light that come and go, the sound of tyres on cold asphalt, that particular hiss and rumble that rubber makes against frozen concrete, then silence, deep silence, the kind of silence that only exists at this hour, before the city fully wakes, before the machinery of 8 million lives begins its daily operation. The pause between night and day, the held breath. Then another car. The rhythm of Queens at its quietest hour, the heartbeat of the city at rest. The city never fully sleeps, but it breathes differently at 4:30. Slower, more deliberate, like it's gathering strength for the day ahead, like it's conserving energy for the onslaught of humanity that will flood these streets in just a few hours. You silence the alarm. The glow of your phone screen is harsh in the darkness, too bright, painful, making you squint against it. 4:30. The numbers glow blue-white in the dark room, digital and certain. Same as yesterday, same as tomorrow, same as every day for the past 3 years since you started this business. since you bought the cart second-hand from another vendor who is retiring, since you got your vendor's license and decided to rebuild your life from the wreckage of the construction injury that ended your previous career. That ended who you thought you were. The time doesn't change even though everything else does. Weather shifts from season to season, from the humid heat of August to the bitter cold of February. Seasons turn from winter to spring to summer to fall and back again in their endless cycle. Holidays arrive and depart with their particular rhythms and traditions, their sales opportunities and street closures. People come and go, moving into the neighbourhood, moving out, being born, dying, the endless cycle of urban life playing out in apartments all around you. Neighbourhoods transform, gentrifying, changing, becoming unrecognisable from what they were just 5 years ago. But 4:30 always means the same thing. Time to begin, time to rise, time to start the work that structures your days and pays your rent and gives your life shape and purpose and meaning. You lie still for a moment, giving yourself this small grace, this brief delay between sleep and waking. The mattress has formed itself to your body over the years, 3 years of sleeping in the same position, in this same bed, in this same apartment. Your body has created a permanent depression in the foam, a Marcus-shaped indentation that fits you perfectly, like a puzzle piece, like it was custom-made just for you by the weight and heat of your sleeping body night after night. The blankets are heavy, warm, reluctant to release you to the cold air that waits beyond their protective barrier. You can feel the cold waiting beyond the covers, can sense it like a presence in the room. The temperature difference is significant, at least 20 degrees, maybe more. The blankets create a microclimate, a small ecosystem of warmth and comfort, a cocoon that protects you from the harsh reality of December in Queens. But lying still only delays what must happen, only postpones the inevitable. The day has its requirements, your body has its obligations. The cart is waiting in the storage lot 2 blocks away. The corner is waiting on Roosevelt Avenue. The customers are waiting, even if they don't know it yet, even if they're still sleeping in their own beds with their own blankets, dreaming their own dreams. They'll wake in an hour or 2, and they'll be hungry, and you'll be there. Your feet find the floor. The carpet is worn thin, nearly transparent in places where the pile has been crushed by traffic. The path between bed and bathroom has been walked so many times that the carpet has given up, surrendered to the inevitable erosion of daily use. You've walked this route thousands of times, probably tens of thousands if you count it up. 3 years of twice daily trips, morning and night, sometimes more if you wake in the middle of the night, if your bladder can't wait until morning, if pain from the old injury wakes you, so often that your feet know the way, even in the darkness, even without conscious thought. Your body has memorized this path. They avoid the spot near the dresser, where the floorboard creaks loudly enough to wake the neighbours, the couple below you who work night shifts at the hospital and sleep during the day whenever they can. You try to be considerate of them because they're considerate of you, because this is how people survive in buildings where walls are thin and privacy is more theoretical than actual, where every sound carries, where you know your neighbours' schedules by the sounds of their lives. Your feet step automatically over the threshold where carpet meets linoleum, that boundary between bedroom and bathroom that you've crossed so many times, your body remembers it without thinking. Cold linoleum, the shock of it helps wake you, sends signals racing up your nerves to your brain like an alarm. You're up, you're moving, the day has begun whether you're ready or not. The bathroom is small, barely room to turn around. A New York bathroom designed for efficiency, not comfort. The shower takes time to warm up. The building's hot water system is ancient, temperamental, installed in the 1960s and maintained minimally since then. You stand shivering, waiting, your breath visible in the cold air like proof of life. Your body is covered in goosebumps, your muscles tense against the cold. The pipes groan somewhere in the walls, deep in the building's infrastructure, the plumbing system complaining about being awakened, about being forced to work. The water transitions from ice to cool, from cool to lukewarm. You can feel the temperature changing degree by degree, molecule by molecule, to finally, eventually, warm, not hot. The building never manages actual hot water, not on the third floor, not this far from the boiler in the basement. The heat dissipates as it travels through the long, winding pipes, losing energy, losing temperature, but warm enough to rinse away sleep, to make you feel more human, to signal to your body that yes, the day has started, yes, you need to wake up now. You shower quickly. Water conservation is a habit born from years of watching bills, of calculating expenses, of knowing that every minute the shower runs is money, literal money flowing down the drain. Each month the utility bill arrives, and you calculate how much went to water, how much to heat, how much to electricity. Every minute the shower runs is money that could be spent on inventory, on rent, on the 100 other expenses that make up a life, on the propane for the cart, on the business license renewal that comes due every year, on replacing equipment when it breaks, when it wears out, when it can't be repaired anymore. 5 minutes, maybe 6. Long enough to wake up, to wash away the sleep smell, the stale scent of a body that's been horizontal for 6 hours, to feel clean, to feel ready. Short enough to be practical, economical. Are you soap, rinse, done? No luxury here, no standing under hot water, just for the pleasure of it, just because it feels good, just function, just necessity, just getting clean enough to face the day. The mirror shows your face emerging from steam. You have to wipe it with your hand to see clearly, the condensation obscuring everything, turning the world into a blur. You recognize yourself, same face as yesterday, same as tomorrow, 42 years old, the age when your father started looking old, when the lines became permanent, when the grey became dominant, lines forming at the corners of your eyes, not from laughter, from squinting in the sun, from years working outdoors in construction, from weather and wind and the particular stress that comes from working with your body. Grey starting at your temples, salt and pepper, spreading slowly but inevitably. Your grandmother would have called it distinguished, would have said it made you look mature, respectable. You just call it aging, just call it time passing, just call it the physical evidence that you're not young anymore, that those days are behind you, the routine of existence, repeated daily, the small rituals that structure time, that make one day distinguishable from another, even when they're fundamentally the same. Shower, shave, dress, eat, work, sleep, repeat. Coffee next. The machine is cheap, purchased years ago from a discount store on Roosevelt Avenue. One of those stores that sells everything, housewares and electronics and cheap furniture and things you didn't know you needed until you saw them. It makes coffee that's adequate, not exceptional, not the kind of coffee you'd order at a cafe, not third-wave specialty coffee with tasting notes and origin stories, but adequate, which is what most of life offers, you've learned. Not excellence, not perfection, just adequacy, just enough. Hot, dark, strong enough to wake you up, to get caffeine into your bloodstream, to make your brain start functioning. You drink it black, standing in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, looking out the window at Queens beginning its slow transition from night to morning, from darkness to light. A few lights have come on in the neighbouring buildings. Windows glowing warm yellow against the grey pre-dawn, proof that you're not alone in this early hour. Someone else is awake. Someone else is beginning their day. A baker, maybe, preparing dough for the morning rush. Or a nurse, getting ready for a hospital shift, pulling on scrubs, making coffee, steeling themselves for 12 hours of caring for the sick. Or another vendor, loading their cart, preparing for their own day of standing and serving. The delivery trucks start their routes. You hear them before you see them. The sound carrying through the cold air. The diesel rumble, that bass note that you feel in your chest, the hiss of air brakes, the beeping of reverse signals, that universal sound of caution, of machinery moving backward, the mechanical sounds of commerce, of the city's supply chain in motion, of the thousands of trucks that keep New York fed and supplied. The city is never completely asleep, but it has quiet hours, and this is one of them. The pause before activity, the breath before the day begins, the moment when anything still seems possible, before the day's disappointments and frustrations set in, before reality asserts itself. Breakfast is toast and peanut butter, simple, fast, fuel rather than pleasure. The bread is a day old, you should have bought fresh yesterday but you forgot, but toasting hides that. The heat disguises age, makes everything taste fresh enough. Crisps the outside, warms the inside, transforms stale into acceptable. Peanut butter doesn't care about freshness, doesn't judge the age of the bread it's spread on. It's the same whether the bread is 1 day old or 3, salty, protein-rich, substantial. It sticks to the roof of your mouth in that familiar way. You eat standing up, leaning against the counter, not bothering to sit down, not bothering with a plate, checking your phone for the weather forecast, the screen too bright in the dim kitchen, 38 degrees, clear, wind from the northwest at 10 miles per hour, gusts up to 15. Good weather for business. Cold enough that people want hot food, need it, crave it, will stop for coffee and a hot dog on their way to work. Clear enough that they'll walk around, won't stay inside, won't huddle in their apartments, or rush from subway to building without stopping. Windy enough to carry the smell of roasting nuts down the sidewalk, that smell that draws people without them knowing why, that makes them hungry, that makes them stop, but not so windy that it's miserable to work, not so windy that the cart tips, that napkins blow away, that customers huddle and hurry past without stopping, heads down against the wind. You check the community calendar, an app you downloaded specifically for this, to track events, to anticipate crowds, to know when the neighbourhood will be busy, when opportunities will arise. Today is the second Saturday of December. The Queen's holiday parade runs at noon, right down Roosevelt Avenue, right past your corner. That means crowds, thousands of people, families with children bundled against the cold, people who came specifically for the parade, who've been planning this for weeks, who've marked their calendars, people who'll be standing around for hours, getting hungry, getting cold, getting thirsty. Crowds mean business, but crowds also mean barricades, street closures, police directing traffic, changed traffic patterns, confusion, restricted access. You'll need to get positioned early, before they start setting up, before the metal barriers go up and the route gets closed, before access becomes restricted, before your corner becomes inaccessible. You dress in layers. This is the key to winter vending. The secret that took you months to learn, that you figured out through trial and error and freezing mornings. Not one warm coat, but multiple layers that trap air, that create insulation, that you can add or remove as needed as you heat up from working, as the sun rises and the temperature climbs. Thermal underwear first, the kind that wicks moisture away from skin, that keeps warmth close to your body. Synthetic fabric, not cotton. Cotton holds moisture, makes you colder, is the enemy of warmth. You learned this the hard way your first winter, when you wore cotton and froze, when you couldn't understand why you were so cold. Then jeans, sturdy denim, dark blue, stained with work, with 3 years of use. Then a flannel shirt, soft from years of washing, the cotton worn comfortable, thin enough to not be bulky, warm enough to matter. Red and black plaid, a pattern as familiar as your own skin. Your grandfather's shirt, actually. He wore it in his garden in the Dominican Republic. Wore it until it was threadbare. When he died, it came to you. Now you wear it to work, and sometimes you think about him, about his hands in the soil, about the life he built, about how he'd feel knowing you're wearing his shirt while selling hot dogs in Queens. Then a hoodie, grey faded, the logo long since cracked and peeled away. just a ghost of letters. Then your work jacket, heavy canvas, stained with grease and mustard and ketchup, and the evidence of 3 years of work, of 3 years of standing outside in all weather. The right shoulder darker than the left from where you lean against. Things, from how you carry the weight. The zipper slightly broken but functional. It catches, you have to jiggle it, but it works. You know how to work it now. The exact angle, the exact pressure. Gloves in one pocket, wool hat in the other. Phone, wallet, keys, vendor's license in its plastic sleeve, the official permission to do what you do, to occupy your corner, to sell food, to exist in this particular way. Everything accounted for, everything in its place. You pat your pockets, a habit, a ritual, making sure nothing is forgotten, running through the checklist, making sure you have everything you need. Phone, check. Wallet, check. Keys, check. License, check. Good, ready. At 5:15 you leave your apartment. The hallway smells like cooking even at this hour, even before dawn. Garlic and cumin and something else you can't identify, something sweet and spiced, cinnamon maybe, or cardamom. Someone made dinner late last night, or early this morning. In this building people work all hours. Shifts that start at midnight, shifts that end at dawn. The smell has settled into the building's fabric, into the wallpaper that's peeling in the corners, into the carpet that should have been replaced a decade ago, into the very walls themselves. You're building houses families from a dozen countries, maybe more. You've never counted them all, never made a census. The hallways smell like the world, like spices and cooking oil and the mingling of cuisines. Indian food from 2B, the aroma of curry and ghee, Dominican food from 3C, the smell of stewed beans and fried plantains, Korean food from 4A, kimchi and grilled meat, Pakistani food from your floor, biryani and kebabs. Like life happening in small apartments where people make food that reminds them of home, that connects them to places they left behind, to memories of kitchens in other countries, to mothers and grandmothers who taught them to cook. Outside, December in Queens is sharp and clear. The cold hits immediately, like walking into a wall of ice, like plunging into water. Your breath becomes visible instantly, clouds with each exhalation, proof that you're warm and the world is cold. Your fingers seek the warmth of your pockets immediately, curl into fists, hide from the air. The sidewalk is dry at least, bare concrete. No ice, no snow. Not yet. That's coming next week according to the forecast, according to the weather service. But tonight the pavement is bare. Cold but manageable. You can work in this. You've worked in worse. You've worked in single digits, in wind chill below zero, in snow, in sleet. This is nothing. This is manageable. The walk to the storage lot is 3 blocks. North on 75th Street, past the apartment buildings where families are still sleeping, where children dream and adults rest. Past the bodega that's not open yet, Mr. Kim will open at 5, any minute now. But right now, it's still dark, still locked, the metal gate still down. East on Roosevelt, the avenue wider, more traffic, more lights, more everything. Roosevelt is the main artery, where life flows, where the neighbourhood pulses with energy and commerce. Then into the alley beside the bodega, narrow and dark, where Mr. Kim rents space, where a dozen vendors store their carts locked behind a gate, protected as much as possible from theft and vandalism. You know this route so completely. You could walk it blind, could walk it in fog so thick you could barely see, in rain so hard you could barely keep your eyes open. Every crack in the sidewalk, every storefront, every place where the pavement slopes for drainage. Your feet remember what your mind doesn't actively track. The slight rise near the corner, the dip where water pools when it rains, the rough patch where the concrete is broken, and someone spray-painted a warning that's faded now to illegibility. The streets are quiet but not empty. There are always people in New York, always someone working, walking, existing, moving through the city at odd hours. A woman waits at the bus stop, her face illuminated by her phone screen. Blue light making her face glow ghostly in the darkness. She's bundled in a parka, hood up, waiting for the Q32, the bus that runs every 20 minutes, even at this hour, even now, even when most of the city sleeps. She's probably a nurse or a home health aide, someone whose work starts early, who takes care of others while others sleep. A man walks a small dog. The dog shivers in the cold, lifts its paws high off the frozen sidewalk, each step delicate and pained. The man looks tired, like he'd rather be sleeping, but the dog needed to go out. So here they are, obligated to each other, responsible for each other. The bodega's lights are on. Mr. Kim has opened, right on schedule, 5 a.m. exactly, serving the early shift workers who need coffee and cigarettes and lottery tickets before they start their days, who need that caffeine jolt, that nicotine fix, that hope that today might be the day their numbers come up. The storage lot's gate requires a combination. Your fingers are clumsy with cold, stiff, the gloves making it harder. You pull off your right glove with your teeth, hold it there between your teeth while your bare fingers work the lock. 5, 3, 8, 2. The numbers have lived in your memory for 3 years since you first rented this space, since you first bought the cart, since you started this business, this life. The lock clicks, satisfying, mechanical. The gate swings open with a metallic scrape, metal on concrete. A sound you hear twice a day, every day, a sound that means beginning and ending. Inside, a dozen carts wait in neat rows like sleeping animals, like horses in stalls, silent and still. Yours is in the back corner, right where you left it last night, after cleaning and securing everything, after locking the wheels, after covering it with the tarp, protected from the elements, from theft, from vandalism, as protected as possible. Your cart is stainless steel and practical, built for function, not beauty, no decoration, no personality, no paint job, or custom details, just function. Older than your jacket, purchased second-hand when you first got your vendor's license 3 years ago, after the construction injury, after the fall from the scaffolding, after the months of physical therapy and pain and uncertainty, after you realized you needed to do something, build something, start over, reinvent yourself at 40, but well-maintained, reliable, the kind of equipment that works not because it's new, but because you treat it properly. Check the connections, keep it clean, replace parts before they break. Maintain it, respect it. The cart has no personality, but it has history. Every scratch tells a story of a day's work, of a corner navigated too quickly, of a parking meter struck, of a moment of carelessness. Every dent records a moment, the gradual accumulation of tiny impacts, of wear, of age, of use. You perform the morning inspection. This is ritual. This is necessity. This is how you stay safe, how you stay legal, how you stay in business. Propane connection, secure. You check it with your hands, feel it, tighten it slightly, with the wrench, making sure there's no leak, no risk. You can smell propane if it's leaking, that distinctive smell they add to it. Like rotten eggs, like sulfur, but there's nothing, just cold metal. Igniter, functional. You test it, click, click, click. The spark jumps blue-white, ready, waiting. Water reservoir filled. You added water yesterday from the hose in the lot. You tap it, hear the slosh, good. Temperature gauges, calibrated. The needles point to the right positions. 0 now, but they'll rise when the heat comes on. Serving utensils, clean and positioned. You arranged them last night, ready to use, ready to grab without looking. Cash box, empty and ready. You'll add the starting change at the cart, $20 in 1s and 5s, enough to make change, not enough to tempt robbery. Menu board intact, though the painted prices are fading, you should repaint them soon. This is how accidents are prevented. This is how equipment lasts, through attention, through routine, through the small repetitive acts of maintenance, through caring for your tools, your livelihood. The cart's handles are cold even through your gloves. Metal conducts cold efficiently, steals heat from your hands, from your body. You release the brake and begin pushing. The cart is heavy, 300 pounds when fully loaded, though right now it's lighter, containing only the permanent equipment. The frame, the propane tank, the warming trays, the roasting drum, the structural elements. The wheels make their familiar sound against pavement, a steady rumble, almost musical, a bass note with overtones. Like a song you've heard so many times you don't actively hear it anymore, but you'd notice if it stopped, if the sound changed, if something was wrong. You've pushed this cart thousands of times. Your body knows exactly how to lean into turns, how to shift your weight, how to maintain momentum on the slight uphill sections, how to navigate around pedestrians and parked cars, and the obstacles that appear on New York sidewalks, fire hydrants, parking meters, trash bags, construction barriers. The daily obstacle course, Roosevelt Avenue at 5:30, is mostly empty, perfect for moving a cart. The wheels rumble steadily. Your breath clouds in the cold air, each exhalation visible, each inhalation burning slightly in your lungs, the cold air sharp. The cart rocks slightly with each crack in the pavement, finding its rhythm, the uneven surface creating a pattern, a beat, the sound of forward motion, the sound of work beginning. You pass closed stores, metal gates pulled down, graffiti tags sprayed across them, names you don't recognize, symbols you don't understand, the language of a different world, a different generation. You pass a deli that's opening, the owner inside setting up, getting ready, stocking shelves, brewing coffee. You can see him through the window, moving in the fluorescent light. You nod to him. Fellow early riser, fellow worker. He nods back. This acknowledgement, this recognition. You're both here, both working, both part of the city's morning machinery. Your corner is at Roosevelt and 74th, outside the subway entrance where the N and W trains emerge from underground, where people pour out at rush hour, a flood of humanity. It's a good location, high-foot traffic, visible from multiple directions, close to schools and businesses, people walking to work, people leaving work, people running errands, shopping, living their lives. A constant stream of potential customers. You've had this spot for 3 years, long enough that many customers are regulars, that you recognize faces, orders, patterns, long enough that the corner feels like yours, even though you don't own it, even though your right to be here depends on permits that need renewing, licenses that need updating, regulations that need following, fees that need paying. The bureaucracy of street vending in New York is extensive, Byzantine, complicated, designed it sometimes seems to keep people out rather than let them in. But you've learned it, navigated it, survived it. You know which inspector to smile at, which one to avoid, which regulations are enforced, which are ignored. This knowledge cost you tickets, fines, mistakes, but you have it now. You position the cart carefully. This matters. This is important. Distance from the subway entrance measured. 15 feet required by law. You pace it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. About right. Close enough to catch commuters, to be visible, to be convenient. Far enough not to block the flow, not to create a hazard, not to violate the code. Distance from the fire hydrant measured. Also 15 feet. The city is strict about this, religiously, about it. 1 ticket for blocking a hydrant costs more than a day's earnings, more than you make in a good day. You learned this the expensive way. Distance from the building entrance measured. 10 feet. The landlords complain if you're too close. They call, they report you. They want their storefronts visible, accessible. Everything has specific rules, specific measurements, written in the code, enforced randomly, arbitrarily. You learnt them by reading regulations, by studying, and by getting tickets when you got it wrong. Those first few months when you were still learning, when you made mistakes, when you didn't know better. These days you rarely get it wrong. The brake locks the cart in place. You check the position one more time. Sight along the cart's edge. Line it up with the subway entrance. Make sure you're parallel. Adjust it slightly, 6 inches to the left, rock it, settle it, check again. Good, professional, ready. This precision matters not just for avoiding tickets, but for establishing your presence, your professionalism, your right to be here. This is your corner. This is your spot. You've earned it. Now comes the part you dislike. Walking to the warehouse 2 blocks away, east on Roosevelt, then south. The cart sits unattended while you're gone. It's locked, the brake is engaged, the cash box is empty, nothing valuable on it yet. You've never had problems, never had anything stolen, never had vandalism, but still the worry lingers, the small anxiety that something will go wrong, that someone will damage the cart, that the police will ticket it, that someone will claim your spot, that something will happen while you're not watching, while you're away getting the supplies you need to actually work. But there's no alternative. The inventory doesn't come to you. You go to the inventory. This is the reality of street vending, of working alone. You can't afford a helper, can't afford to pay someone to watch the cart while you shop. So you lock it, hope for the best, walk quickly, and trust. The warehouse is busy at 5:45. Other vendors are loading up, getting ready for their days, preparing for whatever Saturday brings them. You recognize some of them. Faces you've seen countless times, but names you've never learned. The woman who sells flowers in Midtown, always fresh cut, always colourful, arranged in buckets she carries 2 at a time. The man who does halal food near the park, chicken and rice that draws lines around the block at lunch, that people wait 30 minutes for. The couple who run a breakfast cart in the financial district, egg sandwiches and coffee, feeding bankers and traders who have more money than time. Nobody talks much at this hour. Everyone is focused, tired, working through their routines, moving efficiently through the familiar motions, getting what they need and getting out. The fluorescent lights are harsh, making everything look slightly unreal, slightly too bright, washing out. Colours creating deep shadows. The air is thick with smells. Hot dogs and sausages, that processed meat smell. Industrial refrigeration, that metallic cold smell that comes from massive coolers. Cleaning solution, the sharp chemical scent of bleach and ammonia. Concrete and cold. The warehouse is always cold, unheated, just a roof over inventory, protection from weather, not comfort. Rosa works the counter. She's worked here for at least a decade, maybe longer. You've never asked, never inquired about her story, but she's a fixture, a constant, reliable as the sunrise. Her fingers move quickly across the keyboard, despite the early hour, despite the cold that must make joints ache. Arthritis, probably. The price of years of work. She knows your order by heart, could probably recite it in her sleep, but still waits for you to recite it yourself. Protocol. Accuracy. Making sure nothing is forgotten. Making sure there are no misunderstandings, no mistakes that will cost someone money or time. Morning, you say, your voice rough, scratchy. First words of the day, your vocal cords still tight from sleep. Morning, Marcus, she replies, not looking up from her screen. Saturday order. Hot dogs 6 packs, buns 4 sleeves, sausages 2 packs, pretzels 3 bags, almonds 1 bag, cashews 1 bag, peanuts 2 bags, bottled water 1 case, soda mixed case. Rosa's fingers click across keys, the sound rhythmic, practiced, a percussion that matches your recitation. She doesn't look at the keyboard, just types muscle memory guiding her hands. Condiments? She asks, always asks, every single time, even though the answer never changes. The usual, ketchup, mustard, relish, sauerkraut. You want extra for the parade. She knows about the parade, she knows what it means for vendors on the route, has been doing this long enough to know everything, to anticipate everything. You consider. This is the gamble, the calculation you make every time there's an event. Crowds mean sales, but extra inventory is risk, money spent up front. If it doesn't sell, it's waste, you can't return it, can't get credit for it. It just becomes loss. But if you run out, it's lost opportunity, Lost money walking past your cart because you have nothing to sell because you didn't prepare properly. You run the numbers in your head. Quick calculations. The parade starts at noon, runs 2 hours, thousands of people. You decide. 2 extra packs of hot dogs, 1 extra bag of pretzels. Rosa nods, adds it to the order, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Gives you the total, $93.40. $93.40. A significant amount, a third of a good day's take. But you need it, can't work without inventory, can't sell what you don't have. You pay in cash, always cash, pulling bills from your wallet. Keep the business expenses separate, documented, clear, for taxes, for records, for the accounting that keeps everything legal, that prevents problems with the city. She hands you a receipt, white paper, blue ink, time-stamped. Loading dock 3. Thanks, Rosa, she nods, already looking past you to the next vendor in line. The flower woman, efficient and professional. No time wasted on unnecessary pleasantries at 5:45 in the morning. Loading dock 3 is around the building's side, down a narrow passage between the warehouse and the next building, barely wide enough for a person with a cart. Your order waits in plastic crates, grey industrial plastic, labelled with your name. Marcus Rodriguez, cart 347. Your identity reduced to name and number, to a transaction in the warehouse's system. You begin carrying them to your cart. 6 trips, 6 round trips, 20 to 30 pounds each time. Awkward loads, hard to carry. Your breath clouds with effort. The crates are awkward, hard to grip, the plastic cold and slippery, your gloves making it harder to hold them. But you manage. By the 3rd trip, your muscles are warm, the exertion generating heat, fighting the cold, your body producing what the weather won't give you. By the 6th trip, you're breathing hard, slightly winded, sweating under your layers, feeling the heat trapped against your skin. But satisfied, everything is loaded, everything is ready. You can begin. Back at the cart, you begin the setup sequence. This is the part where the cart transforms from metal and raw ingredients, from potential into a functioning business, into something that produces value, that generates income, that feeds people, that matters. This is where the magic happens, where inert materials become opportunity. Light the propane. Turn the valve, feeling it click through the positions. The familiar hiss of gas, you can hear it escaping, flowing from the tank to the burners. A sound you know so well, you could recognize it anywhere. Can smell it slightly, that distinctive odor they add to it, so you know if there's a leak, like rotten eggs, like sulfur. The click, click, click of the igniter. You press the button, once, twice, 3 times. The spark jumping in the darkness, blue-white, electric. The satisfying whoosh as flame catches, blue and orange, dancing, hot, immediate warmth that you can feel on your face even through the cold morning air. Adjust the heat, turn the knob carefully, listening to how the flame responds. Low for now. Everything needs time to come to temperature. You can't rush this, can't force it. The metal needs to heat, the system needs to stabilize. Thermal equilibrium takes time. Fill the water compartment. This water will steam buns, clean utensils, provide the humidity that keeps everything from drying out. You pour carefully from a plastic jug, making sure not to spill. Water is heavy, awkward to carry. You don't want to make extra trips. Don't want to waste any. Load the hot dogs into the warming tray. They look unappetizing when raw, pink and processed and artificial, like something that shouldn't be food, like laboratory experiments, like the worst of industrial agriculture. But heat transforms them. That's the small magic of cooking. Transformation through heat, through time, through the application of energy. Changing matter, changing molecules, making the unappetizing appetizing. You arrange them carefully, placing each one deliberately, making sure they'll heat evenly, making sure none are touching the sides where they might burn, where they might stick. The tray holds 40. You load 30 to start, leaving room, leaving space for the ones that will sell first, that will need replacing. Pretzels go into their warming oven, a separate compartment with its own temperature control. Arranged carefully so they heat evenly, not touching each other, not stacked. Each pretzel needs space, needs air circulation. The heat needs to surround them. The oven holds 20. You load 15 soft pretzels, the kind you'd get at a ball game, at a street fair, at a carnival. Salted, warm, satisfying. The nuts go into the roasting drum. Almonds first, then cashews, then peanuts, mixed together in the rotating barrel. The drum turns slowly, tumbling them, ensuring even roasting, preventing burning. The motor hums, steady and reliable. The drum squeaks slightly. Needs oil, you make a mental note. Tomorrow, you'll oil it tomorrow. Today, you don't have time. The smell of almonds warming is one of the first signals that your cart is coming alive, transitioning from cold metal to functioning business. The smell carries down the sidewalk, drawing attention, drawing people, making them hungry without realizing why, triggering something primal, the power of scent, of memory, of association. Condiment bottles need checking. This is important. This matters. Mustard, ketchup, relish, sauerkraut. Each one has a specific level, and you refill them to maintain that level. Consistency matters. Customers expect to find what they need, expect the bottles to be full enough, topped off. You check each bottle, hold it up to the light from the street lamp. Mustard is low, maybe a third left. You refill it from a large container, pouring carefully. The mustard, thick, slow, bright yellow. Ketchup is fine, still mostly full, red and viscous. Relish needs a top-off. You add more, the green chunks visible through the clear bottle, pickle pieces suspended in brine. Sauerkraut is good, still full, fermented cabbage with that distinctive sour smell. Napkins go into the dispenser. You stuff them full, as many as will fit, making sure they're easy to grab, one at a time, not clumped together, not stuck. Customers get frustrated when napkins don't dispense properly, when they have to struggle, when they can't get what they need. Plastic forks and knives get positioned within reach. You arrange them in small containers, sorted by type, forks in one, knives in another, organised, accessible. The menu board gets positioned where passing pedestrians can read it easily. You adjust the angle, making sure it catches the light from the street lamp, making sure the prices are visible, making sure people can see what you offer. Every detail matters. Every small thing contributes to whether someone stops or walks past, whether they notice you or ignore you, whether you make a sale or miss an opportunity. By 6:15, the cart is fully operational. Hot dogs steam gently, the moisture rising, visible in the cold air, an invitation. Pretzels warm and brown, the surfaces becoming glossy, appetizing, that golden colour that means done. Nuts roast and release their rich smell into the cold morning air. Toasted, fragrant, irresistible, that warm, nutty aroma that carries. You've tested all equipment, confirmed everything works, nothing is broken, nothing has failed overnight. Confirmed the cash box has correct change. $20 in ones and fives, bills organised, sorted by denomination. Enough to make change for the first customers, not so much that robbery becomes tempting, that you become a target. Set up your small umbrella, just in case the forecast is wrong, just in case it rains, just in case clouds move in. You learn to always have backup. You check everything one more time, visual inspection, walking around the cart, looking at it from different angles, from a customer's perspective, making sure nothing is forgotten, making sure everything is ready, making sure you're prepared. The sky has lightened from black to grey, not quite day but no longer fully night. That in-between time when colours are muted, when the world looks like an old photograph, like memory, like something already past. Streetlights are still on, but they're competing with natural light now, losing the battle. Their orange glow less necessary, less important. Soon they'll shut off automatically. Timed, conserving energy, the city's electrical grid sensing dawn. Traffic has increased. More cars on Roosevelt, more buses rumbling past. The M60, The Q32, the Q53, their routes crisscrossing Queens. More people emerging from the subway entrance, climbing the stairs from underground, blinking in the daylight, adjusting, orienting themselves. More lights in the surrounding buildings, more windows glowing, more people waking, beginning their days, making coffee, showering, preparing to join the city's flow. Your first customer arrives at 6:23. Exactly. You note the time because you always do, because you track these patterns, because knowing when business starts helps you plan, helps you understand your day. A man in MTA uniform, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, blue work pants, blue shirt, name tag, you can't read from here. Too far away, too dark still. Probably heading to an early shift, probably a train operator or maintenance worker, someone who keeps the subway running, someone whose work makes everyone else's commute possible, one of the invisible workers who make the city function. Coffee and a pretzel, he says. No greeting, no pleasantries. Direct, efficient, in a hurry. You pour coffee from your thermos, your own thermos that you filled at home, that you bring every day. You don't buy from the warehouse. The profit margin is better this way. Bringing your own, selling it for $2, keeping most of that. You pour carefully, leaving room at the top, room for cream if he wants it. But he doesn't ask, doesn't request anything, just waits. Add the pretzel to a napkin, still warm from the oven, salt crystals visible on the surface, gleaming in the light. $5, you say? He hands you a $5 bill, exact change, like he knows the price, like he's done this before, like this is routine for him too. You don't need to make change, just accept the bill, smooth it, put it in the cash box. The transaction is smooth, automatic, your hands know where everything is, no wasted motion, no hesitation, muscle memory from thousands of similar transactions. Have a good shift, you say. He nods, already walking away, already focused on the day ahead, on whatever work awaits him underground, in the tunnels, in the dark, steam trailing from his coffee cup, pretzel in his other hand. Probably going to eat it on the train, between stations, in the operator's booth. The small breakfast that carries him through the morning until his break, until he can eat something more substantial. And just like that, your day has officially begun. The first transaction complete, the first money in the cash box, the first customer served. $5. The rest of the day stretches ahead. 12 hours until 8 o'clock, until closing time. But you don't think about that. Don't think about the hours. That makes it harder. You think about now, about this moment, about this customer, and then the next one, taking it transaction by transaction, person by person. The morning flows in transactions. Each customer approaches, orders, pays, departs. The pattern repeats. The rhythm establishes itself, becomes hypnotic, becomes automatic. Coffee and pretzel. Hot dog with mustard. Roasted almonds. Coffee, black. Hot dog with everything, meaning all the condiments, the works. Coffee with extra sugar, 3 packets. Pretzel, no salt. Please scrape off the salt. The variations are small, but they exist. Each person has preferences, each person makes specific requests, and you accommodate within reason, within what you can provide. You become an expert in small adjustments. Extra mustard, light ketchup, well done pretzel, half roasted nuts, not too dark. The tiny customizations that make people feel seen, feel heard, feel like their business matters, like they matter, like they're not just another transaction in an endless series of transactions. You learn to recognize regulars, not always by their faces, though you know those too, but by their orders, by the time they arrive, by the way they approach the cart, the rhythm of their movement, their particular patterns. The woman who wants extra mustard on her pretzel arrives every Saturday at 6:45. You could set your watch by her. Wearing scrubs, probably nurses' scrubs, green with a pattern of small flowers, or maybe cartoon characters. Hard to tell in the early light. Heading to her shift at the hospital. Elmhurst Hospital, probably. It's the closest, the biggest. She never says where she works, but you can guess. She's always in a hurry. always exact with her money, always polite but brief, doesn't have time for conversation. Running late, always running late. You have her pretzel ready before she asks. You see her coming down the sidewalk, recognize her walk, her posture. You grab a pretzel, add extra mustard the way she likes it, wrap it in a napkin. She smiles when she sees that, appreciates it, the small efficiency, the recognition. You're a lifesaver, she says, handing you exact change, $3.50, a 5 and a 50-cent piece and 2 quarters, already counted, already ready. Have a good shift, you tell her. You too, she says, already walking away, pretzel in hand, eating it as she walks, heading toward the hospital, toward 12 hours of caring for the sick and dying, of changing bandages and administering medication and holding hands and witnessing suffering. Hard work, harder than yours in many ways. Different challenges, but harder, more emotionally demanding. The teenager who counts out exact change in coins arrives around 7. High school age, 16 or 17 maybe, tall and thin, growing into his body. He's saving for something. You can tell by how carefully he calculates, by how he counts his money twice, by how he makes sure he has enough for the roasted almonds he buys twice a week, Tuesday and Saturday mornings. Never more, never less, always almonds, always exact change in coins, quarters and dimes and nickels and pennies. He counts them carefully, spreading them on the counter, sorting them, making sure, double-checking, sometimes recounting if he loses track. You wait patiently, never rush him, never show impatience even though there are other customers waiting, even though time is money. He's learning about money, about value, about delayed gratification, about saving for something he wants, whatever it is. A video game console maybe, or a bike or college, or just the abstract idea of future security. $4, you say, when he's done counting, when his coins add up. He nods, relieved, pushes the coins toward you. You scoop them up, put them in the cash box, the coin compartments, sorted by denomination. Hand him his bag of almonds, still warm from the drum, fragrant. Thanks, he says, shy, not making eye contact. See you Tuesday, you say, because you will, because this is his pattern, his routine. He nods again, walks away, already opening the bag, already eating, already enjoying the thing he saved for, the thing he denied himself other things to have. The elderly man, who doesn't buy anything but stops to chat, arrives around 7:30. His name is Mr. Washington. You learned that in your first month, back when everything was new, when you introduced yourself to everyone, when you tried to build relationships, to become part of the neighborhood. He's lived in Queens for 60 years, moved here from South Carolina in the 60s during the Great Migration, looking for work, for opportunity, for a better life, for escape from Jim Crow, from segregation, from violence, and he found it, found work, found community, raised a family here, bought a house, lived a life, retired. His wife died 2 years ago after 45 years of marriage, and now he's lonely. So he walks, stops to talk to vendors, to shop owners, to anyone who'll listen, anyone who has time, anyone who'll acknowledge him. And he has opinions about everything. From the subway schedule, always late, always crowded, not like it used to be, to the way the neighborhood has changed, too many new people, too many languages, too expensive now. His kids can't afford to live here. To politics, don't even get him started. To the weather, to the young people, kids these days with their phones. To the old people, including himself, getting old isn't for cowards. Morning, Marcus, he says, leaning on his cane, a wooden cane, well worn, the handle polished smooth by his hand. Morning, Mr. Washington, how are you? Old and cold, he says, his standard answer, but alive, which is better than the alternative. You smile. Can I get you something? Coffee? Warm you up? No, I had my coffee at home. Just stretching my legs, getting my steps in. Doctor says I need to walk. Keep moving, use it or lose it. He looks at your cart, at the steam rising from the hot dogs, at the pretzels in their oven. You expecting good business today? With the parade? I hope so. Ordered extra inventory. Spider-Man's supposed to show up, he says, like it's a fact, like he has inside information. My grandson told me. He's very excited, wants to see Spider-Man. That would be something, you say, neutral, not committing, having learned that Spider-Man appearances are rumoured constantly, but happen rarely, unpredictably. You know what I think, Mr. Washington says, and you know he's going to tell you regardless of whether you want to know. This is how conversations with him go. I think these superheroes, they're fine and all, they save the world, but they cause a lot of damage too. My insurance went up after that thing in Midtown last year. The alien ship or whatever it was. They say the whole neighbourhood got destroyed. Who pays for that? We do. The regular people. That's true, you say, because it is true, because this is a legitimate complaint. But I guess it's better than being dead, he concedes. Better than having aliens take over or whatever. So I shouldn't complain. But I will anyway. It's what old men do. You laugh. You're not that old, Mr. Washington. 78. That's old. That's ancient. That's 1 foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel, as they say. A customer approaches, needs service. Mr. Washington sees, understands, waves you off. Go on, make your money. I'll see you around. Good to see you, Mr. Washington. He nods, continues his walk, his morning constitutional, moving slowly, carefully, the way elderly people move when they know a fall could mean everything. Could mean the end of independent living. Could mean nursing homes and wheelchairs and loss of dignity. By 7:30, the morning rush has established its rhythm. The real rush, the commuter flood. People heading to work, men in suits carrying briefcases, leather and vinyl, status symbols and necessary tools. Women in heels carrying purses, balanced and professional, navigating cracked sidewalks in impractical shoes. Construction workers in boots and hard hats, orange vests, tool belts heavy with hammers and wrenches and measuring tapes, ready to build, to fix, to work with their hands the way you used to. Office workers in business casual, khakis and button-downs, the uniform of middle management, of desk jobs, of computer work. People going to the gym, carrying duffel bags, wearing sneakers, athletic clothes, already worked out or about to, dedicated to fitness, to health, to the maintenance of their bodies. People walking dogs, multiple dogs on multiple leashes, professional dog walkers, getting paid to walk other people's pets, a job that didn't exist when you were young. People just out, because they're early risers, because they can't sleep, because New York doesn't sleep, and they're part of that energy, that constant motion. Each person has their destination, their purpose, their small place in the city's vast machinery, and many of them stop at your cart for coffee, for food, for that small transaction that begins their day, that marks the transition from home to work, from private to public, from self to role. You work steadily, constantly, no breaks, no pauses, pour coffee, wrap hot dogs, make change, wipe surfaces, restock supplies. The tasks repeat in cycles, in loops, in patterns that you know so well you could do them blind. When the napkin dispenser empties, you refill it, stuffing napkins in until they barely fit. When the mustard runs low, you replace the bottle, grab a new one from storage, screw off the cap, position it. When the pretzels brown too much, you rotate them, bringing the less cooked ones to the front, putting the well-done ones in back, managing the heat, managing the timing. Everything has its rhythm, its requirements, its place in the routine. You don't think about it anymore. Don't consciously decide. Your body knows, your hands know. 3 years of repetition, 3 years of muscle memory, 3 years of performing the same actions in the same order thousands of times until they become automatic, until they become who you are. Around 8:30 you notice the parade preparations beginning. City workers arrive in trucks, Department of Sanitation vehicles, white with green lettering. Parks Department trucks, green with white lettering. Unloading barricades, the metal frames stack against lampposts, waiting to be positioned, waiting to close off the street, to create the parade route. A police car drives slowly past, the officer checking the route, looking around carefully, probably comparing what he sees to a map or diagram, showing where everything should go, making mental notes, looking for potential problems, for conflicts, for issues. Someone from the parks department is tying ribbons to lampposts, red and green, holiday colours, festive, traditional. The universal signals of December, in America, of celebration, of tradition, of Christmas and holidays, and the end of the year. The ribbons flutter in the wind, bright against the grey morning, adding colour to the urban landscape. The parade won't start until noon, but the preparations begin hours early. This is how large events happen, through advance work, through logistics, through people setting up infrastructure that most attendees never notice, that happens invisibly before the crowds arrive, through the invisible labour that makes public celebration possible. You've seen this process before. 3 years of working this corner means 3 years of watching the same parade preparations, the same sequence of setup and execution and breakdown. It's become familiar, expected, part of the rhythm of December Saturdays. A man in an official vest approaches your cart around 9. Safety orange, reflective strips, visibility gear. He's carrying a clipboard and a pen and has that particular expression of someone who's following regulations without personal investment. Someone doing a job, checking boxes, making sure rules are followed, covering liability. You're going to need to move back about 3 feet, he says, not unkindly, just stating fact, matter of fact, professional. Parade route needs to be clear. You nod, understanding. Begin the process of repositioning. The cart is heavy when fully loaded, 300 pounds of metal and food and equipment. The propane is burning, the flame is lit, the food is hot. You have to be careful not to tip anything, not to spill hot water, not to disturb the careful organisation of supplies and equipment. But you've done this before, done it many times for construction, for events, for police activity. You know how. You manage it, rock the cart back slightly, lift the front wheels just enough, roll it backward carefully, 3 feet back, maybe a little more to be safe, to be sure, to not have any problems, just outside the parade route boundary. Check the alignment, make sure you're still visible, still accessible, but out of the way, not blocking anything, not violating any regulations. Thanks for cooperating, the man says, making a check mark on his clipboard. A satisfied check, one less problem, one less vendor to argue with. He moves on to the next vendor, a woman selling balloon animals and cotton candy, who's setting up her stand with the kind of optimistic energy that suggests she's expecting a profitable day, that suggests she thinks the parade will be worth the effort. The hours between 9 and noon have a different quality than regular business hours. There's anticipation in the air. You can feel it, can sense it, something building. A sense that something is coming, that the normal routine of the street is about to be interrupted by something larger, more festive, more communal. People walk past already carrying folding chairs and blankets, coolers and bags, planning to stake out spots, planning to settle in for the parade, to claim territory. Parents wrangle children who are excited about seeing floats and marching bands and, if they're lucky, Spider-Man. The children bounce, run ahead, point at everything, ask constant questions in that relentless way children have. When will it start? Where's Spider-Man? Can we get candy? Can we get a snack? I'm cold. I'm hungry. The energy is palpable, infectious. Even you feel it. The anticipation, the excitement, the sense of something about to happen. Because this is New York. This is Queens. And Spider-Man is as much a part of the local landscape as the subway, or the street vendors, or the dozens of languages you hear spoken on any given day. Spanish and Mandarin and Korean and Bengali and Hindi and Tagalog and Greek and Russian and Polish and Arabic. Languages you can't identify, can't even begin to guess, all mixing together. The sound of the world compressed into one borough. Babel. Beautiful Babel. The parade isn't specifically about Spider-Man. It's a general holiday celebration with Santa and reindeer, and high school marching bands, and local politicians waving from convertibles. Generic holiday pageantry, traditional and expected. But everyone knows there's a chance he'll show up, that he'll swing through at some point, that the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man will make an appearance, because he's weirdly committed to Queens in a way that the other Avengers aren't particularly committed to any specific borough. Iron Man operates out of Manhattan, Stark Tower visible on the skyline, a statement, a monument to wealth and technology. Thor comes and goes, Asgard and Earth, cosmic concerns beyond borough loyalty. Doctor Strange does his thing with the mystical arts, reality-bending magic in Greenwich Village. But Spider-Man is Queens. Everyone knows that. Everyone believes that. Everyone claims him. He's ours, the neighborhood hero, the local boy made good. You've seen him twice before. Once he stopped a robbery at the bodega 2 blocks away. Mr. Kim's place. You watched from your cart as he webbed up 2 guys who'd been trying to empty the cash register at gunpoint. Threatening Mr. Kim, threatening his life, threatening the livelihood he'd built over 20 years. Spider-Man came through the door moving fast, faster than seemed possible for a human body. Webs flying, disarming the robbers, sticking them to the walls, to the ceiling, immobilizing them completely. Mr. Kim was shaken, but unhurt, grateful, crying with relief, hands trembling. The police arrived minutes later, collected the robbers, took statements, filled out reports. Spider-Man left before they could thank him properly, just left, swung away. The whole thing took maybe 5 minutes, efficient, professional, the way someone does something they've done 1,000 times before, practiced, routine, muscle memory. Another time he swung past while you were packing up for the evening, just before sunset, the light turning golden beautiful, that magic hour when everything looks better than it is. He called out, "Have a good night," in that cheerful way he has, that young voice, definitely young, teenage maybe, enthusiastic, like he's genuinely concerned about the well-being of random street vendors, like you matter to him, like he sees you. You waved, startled, pleased, honoured somehow. He swung away, red and blue suit catching the light, and was gone. It was a small moment, lasted maybe 3 seconds, but it stayed with you. The idea that someone with superpowers was paying attention to ordinary people doing ordinary work, that in a city of 8 million, he noticed you, acknowledged you, wished you well. It mattered more than you expected it to. By 10:30 the crowd has thickened considerably, dramatically. The sidewalks are full of people staking out viewing positions, setting up their folding chairs in neat rows, spreading their blankets on the cold concrete, claiming territory with the seriousness of pioneers, of settlers, of people who know good spots are limited, opening coolers, getting comfortable, preparing to wait. The barricades are in place now, creating a clear corridor for the parade route, metal barriers interlocking, forming a channel, crowd control, safety, order imposed on potential chaos. You can hear distant sounds of preparation, marching bands warming up several blocks away, the sound of trumpets playing scales, arpeggios, runs, drums keeping time, rhythmic practice, getting in sync, tubas with that low brass sound, that bass foundation, the rumble of float engines, diesel motors are idling, getting ready, massive machines waiting to move, the amplified voice of someone testing sound equipment, speaking into a microphone. Check, check. 1, 2, can you hear me? Feedback squeal, adjustment, the machinery of the parade coming to life. Your cart is busy enough that you barely have time to think, barely have time to breathe. Your hands move through the motions of preparing food, making change, handing over orders, wiping down surfaces, restocking supplies, an endless cycle of motion and service. Everything is automatic, muscle memory, the build-up of thousands of similar transactions. Your body operating independently, while your mind wanders, while you think about other things, while you exist in 2 modes simultaneously, physical and mental, present and absent. By 11:15, business has reached a peak, a real peak, the pre-parade rush. Everyone wants food before the parade starts. Before they settle into their spots, everyone wants to have everything they need so they don't have to move, don't have to give up their viewing position, don't have to risk losing what they've claimed. Everyone wants to be prepared, to be comfortable, to be ready. You work as quickly as you can while maintaining quality, while maintaining standards, while doing things right. Each hot dog gets properly steamed, not overcooked, not dried out, heated to the right temperature. Each coffee gets poured at the right level, hot but not scalding, drinkable but warm enough to matter. Each transaction gets processed accurately, making sure the change is correct, making sure the customer gets what they paid for, maintaining integrity, maintaining professionalism. Speed matters, but so does doing things correctly, doing things right. You've learnt this the hard way, through mistakes, through customer complaints, through lost business, through the slow understanding that reputation matters, that word of mouth matters, that people remember when you mess up, when you shortchange them, when you give them cold food, when you rush and compromise quality. By 11:45, the initial rush has faded somewhat. People have found their spots, settled in, made their purchases. The parade is about to begin. There's a quality of waiting in the air now, of collective anticipation, of a neighbourhood preparing to celebrate together, to share an experience, to be part of something larger than individual lives. The energy has shifted from preparation to readiness, from getting ready to being ready, from the process to the event. The parade starts at noon exactly, announced by the sound of sirens from the police motorcycles that lead the procession, chrome gleaming, lights flashing red and blue. The crowd responds with cheers and applause, and the raising of phones, thousands of phones, all recording, all documenting, all trying to capture the moment, to prove they were here, to prove this happened, to have evidence of experience. You catch glimpses while serving customers, between transactions, looking up when you can. A massive snow globe float with animatronic penguins inside. The penguins waddle back and forth mechanically. Jerky movements, sponsored by a local business whose name you can't quite read from this angle. From this distance, the letters too small, the design too complex. A marching band, high school kids with instruments that shine in the winter sun. Brass gleaming, reflecting light. Their uniforms crisp and formal, navy blue with gold trim, gold buttons, gold braiding, the kind of uniforms that cost money, that fundraisers paid for, that represent school pride. The kids playing with concentration, following their conductor, who walks backward, arms waving, keeping time, keeping them together, maintaining formation. A group of dancers in elf costumes, green and red, pointy hats, curled shoes, performing a choreographed routine. Their movements synchronized despite the cold, despite the difficulty of dancing while walking, while maintaining formation, while not bumping into each other, while performing for crowds on both sides. You keep working, serving customers who are watching the parade while they eat, dealing with the constant flow of people who want food without having to leave their viewing spots for too long, who don't want to lose their position, who don't want to miss anything. A high school choir passes, another school, different uniforms, singing holiday songs in harmony, deck the halls, jingle bells, silent night, their voices cutting through the noise of the crowd, clear and sweet and trained, young voices full of hope and effort. A float featuring a live nativity scene rolls by, the actors dressed as Mary and Joseph, robes that look warm but probably aren't, looking cold despite their costumes, looking uncomfortable, wondering perhaps why they agreed to this. A baby doll in the manger, not a real baby, liability issues, insurance, practical concerns, plastic sheep standing motionless, glued down, artificial but traditional, expected, part of the iconography of Christmas. A classic car carrying the Queen's Borough President passes, a vintage Cadillac convertible, top down despite the cold. The President waving to the crowd with practiced enthusiasm. that politician's wave, that looks genuine even when it's not, that gesture of connection that bridges the distance between elected official and constituent, between power and people. Around 12:20, a float advertising a local toy store passes, covered in oversized wrapped presents, fake packages, styrofoam and paint, bright colours and giant bows. Staffed by people dressed as toys, as dolls, as action figures, throwing candy to children, cheap candy wrapped in cellophane, Tootsie Rolls, and Dum-Dums and hard candies. The children scramble for the candy with desperate enthusiasm, pushing each other, diving, grabbing, their parents trying to manage excitement and safety simultaneously, trying to prevent trampling, tears, fighting, the chaos of children wanting free things, wanting more. Then around 12:30 there's a change in the crowd's energy, a shift. You feel it before you see it, the way you can feel weather changing, the way you can sense a storm coming. The cheers get louder, more excited, more intense, a different quality of sound, higher pitched, more urgent, more ecstatic. You look up and see him, Spider-Man, the actual Spider-Man, swinging alongside the parade route, moving parallel to the floats, keeping pace with the procession. He keeps pace with the floats easily, moving with that characteristic fluidity that seems impossible for a human body, that defies physics, that makes no sense according to what you know about anatomy and motion and the limits of muscle and bone, but is apparently just normal for someone with spider powers, for someone whose very cells have been transformed by something you don't understand, can't understand, something beyond ordinary science. He's wearing his regular suit, the one everyone recognizes, red and blue with the webbing pattern, black web lines creating that distinctive design. The suit that's become as recognizable as any corporate logo, as the Nike swoosh, as the Apple, as Mickey Mouse ears, iconography burned into the collective consciousness. He does a flip mid-swing, spinning in the air, 360 degrees, his body completely horizontal for a moment, parallel to the ground, defying gravity, then vertical again, righting himself, landing the move perfectly. The crowd screams, children losing their minds, shrieking, jumping, pointing. Adults pulling out phones, everyone wanting to capture this moment. Everyone wanting proof that yes, this happened, I was here, I saw this, I have video, I have evidence. He lands on a lamppost about 20 feet from your cart. Close, very close, closer than you expected, closer than seems safe. Perches there like his namesake, like a spider on a web, one hand gripping the metal post, his body balanced in a crouch that should be impossible for human anatomy. Knees bent, weight distributed in ways that shouldn't work, but apparently works fine for him. Apparently his body operates by different rules. Apparently physics bends around him. The post sways slightly under his weight, bending, flexing, but holds designed for this somehow, engineered to support unexpected loads. Or maybe he's just that light. Maybe his powers include reduced mass. Maybe his bones are hollow like a bird's. You don't know. Nobody knows. The mystery is part of the appeal. He waves to the crowd with both hands, like someone in a parade float, like a celebrity acknowledging fans, like he's just a normal person doing normal things. Not someone who can lift cars and dodge bullets and swing through the city at impossible speeds. Not someone with enhanced strength, enhanced reflexes, enhanced everything. Just a friendly guy saying hello to his neighbourhood, acknowledging the people who live here, the people he protects. "Happy holidays, Queens," he shouts, his voice carrying over the crowd noise. Clear and young, definitely young, teenage probably, enthusiastic and genuine. Like he's enjoying this moment as much as the crowd is, like he wants to be here, like this matters to him. Like it's not just obligation, but genuine connection. Not just crime fighting, not just saving people, but this too, the celebration, the community, the human connection that makes it all meaningful. The crowd roars back, approval and excitement, and that particular New York quality of claiming ownership over their local hero, possessive pride, territorial loyalty. This is our Spider-Man, our protector, our guy who chose Queens, who stays in Queens, who represents Queens to the world. Not Manhattan, not Brooklyn, not the Bronx, not Staten Island, Queens. The forgotten borough, the immigrant borough, the working class borough, the real borough, where actual people live actual lives. And here he is, acknowledging that, celebrating that, being part of it, claiming it back. Don't forget to tip your street vendors, he adds, gesturing in your direction, toward your cart, toward the balloon vendor's stand down the block, toward the hot dog cart on the other corner, acknowledging the workers, the people who feed the neighborhood, the people who stand outside in December, in the cold, in all weather, serving food to crowds, making it possible for people to stand here for hours without going hungry, without going thirsty. The crowd laughs and cheers, delighted by this detail, by this recognition, by this acknowledgement of the ordinary people who make extraordinary events possible, who provide the infrastructure of daily life, who are usually invisible, usually ignored, usually taken for granted, and you feel something unexpected, something powerful, something you can't quite name, something like pride, like recognition, like validation, like the sense that your work matters, not just to your survival, not just to paying rent, but to the neighborhood's fabric, to the daily life that continues even when superheroes swing past, to the complex ecology of urban existence. Spider-Man noticed you, noticed street vendors, used his moment, his platform, his visibility, his fame, to redirect attention, to say, these workers matter, these people providing services, they're important too, they're essential. Tip them, acknowledge them, see them. Don't treat them as invisible, as less than, as unimportant. Then he shoots a web to the next building, the web line arcing through the air, white and strong, impossibly strong, sticking to brick, to concrete, adhering through some chemistry you don't understand. He yanks it, tests it, his weight pulling the line taut, and swings away, his red and blue suit disappearing over rooftops. Gone as quickly as he came. The whole interaction may be 2 minutes total, 120 seconds. But those 2 minutes change the day, change something about how you feel, about your work, about being seen, about mattering, about being acknowledged by someone who matters, by someone the city loves. Because he noticed the street vendors, he acknowledged the workers, he used his moment of attention, of celebrity, to redirect some of that toward people who usually go unnoticed, who provide services that are essential but invisible, who stand on corners in all weather, in heat, in cold, in rain, in snow, feeding people, making life easier, making life possible, and rarely get thanked or acknowledged, or recognized as important, as part of what makes neighborhoods work, function, live, breathe, thrive. After Spider-Man leaves, business explodes, absolutely explodes. Everyone wants food, everyone wants to stand at your cart, at the place he gestured toward, as if buying a hot dog from your cart connects them somehow, to him, to the moment, to the extraordinary event that just happened, makes them part of it, makes them participants, not just spectators, makes them witnesses who can prove they were close, they were there. They were in the shot when he pointed. You work faster than you ever have. Hands moving in constant motion, in a blur, barely stopping, barely breathing. Pour coffee, wrap hot dogs, make change, hand over pretzels, accept cash, grab more buns, reload hot dogs, check propane, make sure the flame is steady, wipe surfaces, restock napkins. Everything happening at maximum speed, maximum efficiency. No wasted motion, no hesitation, no pauses. Just pure execution of practice tasks, your body operating at peak performance, adrenaline helping, adrenaline carrying you, focus sharpening to a point where everything else falls away, where there's just you and the work, you and the customers, you and the endless line of people who want something, who need something, who are willing to pay for something. The cash box fills quickly, rapidly, more rapidly than you've ever seen. Bills and coins accumulating, ones and fives and tens, even 20s, quarters and dimes and nickels. The satisfying weight of successful business, of opportunity seized, of being in the right place at the right time with the right preparation. The physical proof that, yes, this is working, yes, people want what you provide, yes, you're making money, real money, more money than a normal morning, more money than you budgeted for, more money than you expected, the Spider-Man effect, real, measurable, significant, changing your day, your week, your month. But you're also exhausted, already exhausted, and it's only 12:45, and you have 7 more hours until closing, 7 more hours until you can rest. The intensity of the rush, the unrelenting demand, the constant need to move faster, to serve more, to keep up with the crowd, with the demand. It's exhilarating and terrifying and completely depleting all at once. Your back aches from leaning over, from bending, from reaching, from maintaining the wrong posture for too long. Your arms hurt from lifting, from repetitive motion, from the same movements performed hundreds of times in 30 minutes. Your feet hurt from standing, from supporting your weight, from the concrete pressing up against your soles through inadequate cushioning. But you keep going, keep working, keep pushing, because customers keep coming, keep arriving, and you can't turn them away, can't lose this opportunity, can't waste this moment. This is what you work for. This is why you do this. This is the payoff for all the slow days, all the cold mornings, all the times when business was terrible. By 1 o'clock, the immediate post-Spider-Man surge has faded somewhat. The initial frenzy has passed. The parade continues, more floats, more bands, more politicians, the familiar sequence playing out. And Santa arrives finally at 1:30. Santa Claus himself on his enormous sleigh float. The biggest float, the finale, the grand conclusion. Pulled by animatronic reindeer, 8 of them. Rudolph in front with his nose glowing red, LED light, bright and cheerful. Santa sits in his sleigh, massive and jolly, red suit, white beard, probably real, probably an actor who works all December, playing Santa at malls and parties and parades. Waving, the crowd cheers, but not with the same intensity as for Spider-Man, not with that same electric energy. Santa is expected, Santa is traditional, Santa is guaranteed. He's in the promotional materials, he's advertised, he's scheduled. Spider-Man was spontaneous, unexpected, real, authentic, powerful in his unpredictability. Santa is someone in a suit playing a role, important culturally, but not personally, not individually. Spider-Man is actually Spider-Man, the real thing, the authentic article, not a representation, but the person himself. The difference matters to the crowd, to the energy, to the excitement, to what it means to witness, to be present. The crowd begins breaking up slowly after Santa passes, after the official end of the parade, slowly at first, tentatively, then more rapidly, more decisively. People heading home, people going to lunch, people continuing their Saturday plans, shopping, errands, life resuming. The street cleaners follow immediately behind the parade's end, sweeping up the build-up of celebration. Candy wrappers, dropped programs, spilled drinks, napkins, cups, the general mess of several thousand people standing in one place for 2 hours. The detritus of joy, the waste of community. Your cart remains busy as people walk past on their way to the subway, on their way home, on their way to whatever comes next. You sell roasted nuts to a couple who's discussing, debating passionately whether Spider-Man is actually a teenager, like some people claim, like the internet says, or if that's just propaganda, disinformation, misdirection. They debate this seriously, with evidence, with arguments, with the earnestness of people who care about being right, about understanding truth. You sell pretzels to a group of friends who are arguing about whether Santa's sleigh float was better this year than last year, or if it was basically the same, recycled, unchanged. They can't agree. Each person has a different memory of last year. Different assessment, different standards, different criteria for what makes something better, what constitutes improvement, what matters. You sell hot dogs to a police officer who's been managing crowd control for the past 3 hours, standing, directing, managing, dealing with questions and complaints and confusion, and is ready for his lunch break, ready to sit down, ready to eat, ready to be off his feet, off duty, off the clock, back to being a person instead of a uniform. By 2 o'clock, the post-parade crowd has faded substantially, and Roosevelt Avenue is returning to its normal Saturday afternoon rhythm, the everyday pattern reasserting itself. The barricades are being removed, metal frames lifted, stacked, loaded back into trucks. The parade-specific vendors are packing up their balloon animal stands, deflating balloons with that sad hissing sound, and cotton candy machines, cleaning them, wrapping them, securing them for transport. The world is settling back into its usual patterns. The extraordinary moment has passed, normal life resumes, continues as if nothing happened, as if the disruption was just a dream. You take stock of your inventory, the extra hot dogs and pretzels you ordered this morning, mostly gone, almost completely gone. Good call, good gamble. The risk paid off. Your cash box is satisfyingly heavy, full of small bills and coins that represent a successful morning, a very successful morning, maybe the best morning you've had in 3 years. You're tired but not exhausted, not destroyed, still functional, hungry but not starving. You should eat something soon. Ready to continue your shift through the afternoon and into the evening, through 8 o'clock, through closing, through the completion of this remarkable day. Because the day isn't over, the work isn't done. The parade was a peak, a moment of unusual activity, of extraordinary opportunity, but your business continues regardless of whether there's a parade or a superhero sighting or just a normal Saturday. People need to eat, and you're here to feed them. That's the work. That's the purpose. That's what you do. That's who you are. A street vendor in Queens, feeding a neighbourhood one transaction at a time. The afternoon is quieter but steady, a sustainable pace, a manageable rhythm. You get shoppers heading to nearby stores, the discount clothing store with its racks of imports, the pharmacy with its fluorescent lights and endless aisles, the grocery store, the laundromat with its humid air and the sound of tumbling clothes. Teenagers wandering in groups, not particularly focused on any destination, just out because they're young and it's Saturday and their parents are tired of them being home, being underfoot, being loud, being teenage. Couples out for a walk, enjoying the cold December air, enjoying the neighbourhood's energy, the post-parade atmosphere that lingers like smoke, like the smell of food, like memory, the sense that something happened, that something was special, that this day mattered, that being here mattered, that witnessing mattered. Around 4:30, a woman in a nurse's uniform stops at your cart. Different scrubs than the morning regular, blue instead of green, a different hospital, a different shift. You recognise her as someone who occasionally buys coffee in the mornings, an irregular regular, someone whose schedule varies, whose shifts change, whose life is complicated by the demands of healthcare work. How was the parade? She asks while you prepare her hot dog with mustard and sauerkraut. Her usual, her standard order that you remember, because remembering matters, because recognition matters, because making people feel seen matters. Busy, you say, understating it, being modest. Good for business, Spider-Man showed up. I heard, she says, pulling money from her pocket, bills folded small. My kids are at my sister's, watching videos of it on YouTube, on their tablets, obsessing over it. They're devastated. They miss seeing him in person. Absolutely devastated, crying about it. I had to work, couldn't take them, couldn't get out of my shift, short-staffed. They're upset with me, angry. like it's my fault. There'll be other chances, you say, handing her the hot dog carefully, making sure she has it secure. He seems to make appearances pretty regularly. Fairly often, he's committed to Queens. That's what I told them, she says, paying, exact change, already counted, organised, ready. But you know kids, they want everything to happen right now, immediately. They don't understand later, next time, eventually, they want now. This second, this moment. They can't wait, can't defer gratification. She walks away, and you return to the rhythm of work. The familiar pattern, the comfortable routine. Wipe the surface, clean, check the condiments, make sure they're full. Rotate the pretzels, bring fresh ones forward. Adjust the heat under the hot dogs. Fine-tune the temperature. Every task has its timing, its place, its purpose, its role in the larger system. Around 5, a mother and her young son approach your cart. The boy may be 6, 7 at most, wearing a Spider-Man costume under his winter coat, red and blue fabric, the cheap kind from a costume store, mass-produced polyester. The mask pushed up on his head, like a hat, like a beanie, revealing his face. His face is painted with a web pattern, black lines crossing his cheeks, his forehead, though it's smudged from a long day of wearing it, from touching his face, from eating, from rubbing his eyes, from being 6 years old and unable to leave things alone, unable to keep his hands to himself. "Can we get a hot dog?" the mother asks. She looks tired, deeply tired. The exhausted tired that comes from managing an excited child for hours, through crowds, through noise, through constant questions and demands, an energy that never stops, never depletes, never runs out. You prepare one, extra care, making it perfect, while the boy bounces excitedly beside the cart, unable to stand still, unable to contain his energy, shifting from foot to foot, hands waving, touching everything, touching the cart, touching his mother, talking constantly. Non-stop chatter, words tumbling out, faster than thought. "I saw Spider-Man," he announces to you, to anyone who'll listen, as if this is information you haven't already heard today, as if you weren't there, as if everyone within a mile doesn't know. "He was at the parade. He did a flip. Did you see him? Did you? He did a flip in the air, a whole flip. And he landed on that light, right there, that one." He points at the lamppost 20 feet away. "And he waved at everyone, at me. He waved at me." "I did see him," you confirm, handing the hot dog to his mother, careful, making sure she has it secure. "He was pretty impressive, very cool. I'm going to be Spider-Man when I grow up," the boy declares, with the absolute certainty that only children possess, the complete confidence that the future will conform to their desires, if they want it badly enough, if they believe hard enough, if they wish hard enough. "I'm going to save people and swing from buildings and fight bad guys and help people and be a hero just like him." His mother smiles tiredly, the kind of smile that suggests she's heard this declaration many times today, possibly hundreds of times. Since the parade ended, since Spider-Man appeared, every 5 minutes the same declaration, the same certainty, the same dream spoken aloud over and over. "That's a good goal," you say, meaning it, supporting the dream, even as you know the reality. "But maybe eat your hot dog first." "Spider-Man said to tip street vendors," the boy says suddenly, seriously, looking at his mother with intensity, with purpose, pulling on her sleeve. "He said that, remember, at the parade. We have to tip, we have to," Spider-Man said. "Spider-Man told us, we have to do what he said." The mother reaches into her purse, pulls out $2 bills, $1 bills, crumpled, worn, hands them to you. "He insisted," she says with a mixture of pride and exhaustion and amusement, the complex emotions of parenting. "Wouldn't stop talking about it, all the way here. We have to tip the vendor," Spider-Man said. "We have to. He made me promise, made me swear." You take the money feeling something catch in your throat, tighten, emotion rising, unexpected and powerful. This kid, this 6-year-old kid in a Spider-Man costume with a painted face, took seriously what his hero said, remembered it, held onto it, convinced his mother to give extra money for a tip because Spider-Man said it was important, because seeing you, being acknowledged, mattered to him, because he wanted to be like his hero, wanted to do what his hero said, wanted to live up to that example. Thank you, you say to the boy directly, looking at him, making eye contact, making sure he knows you mean it. That's very thoughtful, very kind, very heroic. He beams, proud, important, standing taller, like he's done something heroic, like he's lived up to Spider-Man's example, like he's been a hero in his own small way. They walk away, the boy still talking about Spider-Man, about superpowers, about saving the city, about fighting bad guys, about being needed, about mattering, about making a difference. The mother listening, responding, engaging, doing the exhausting work that parents do, of engaging with children's obsessions, of taking seriously what children care about, of validating their dreams even when you're tired, even when you've heard it 100 times, even when you want quiet, want rest, want peace. You stand there for a moment after they leave, feeling something you can't quite name. Gratitude maybe, or hope or validation, or just the sense that sometimes the world works better than you expect. That sometimes people listen to messages about treating workers with respect, about seeing people, about acknowledging effort. That sometimes kids learn the right lessons from their heroes. That small acts of acknowledgement from someone with power, from someone with visibility, can ripple out, can create change, can make people see each other differently, treat each other better, recognize each other's humanity, each other's worth, each other's essential role in making everything work. The afternoon continues in steady rhythm, business flowing at a manageable pace, sustainable, not overwhelming, not too slow. The post-parade energy has settled into something more ordinary, more typical for a Saturday afternoon in Queens. People going about their lives, their errands, their weekend plans, shopping bags rustling, conversations in multiple languages, the neighbourhood returning to itself, to its regular patterns, to the comfortable, familiar shape of everyday existence. You serve a steady stream of customers, the faces blurring together, after a while, after hundreds of transactions, becoming types rather than individuals. The businessman grabbing a quick snack between appointments, the family sharing pretzels, breaking them into pieces, distributing them among 3 children who argue over who gets the bigger piece. The elderly couple walking slowly, carefully, the man ordering for both of them in accented English, Spanish maybe, or Portuguese, you're not certain. The construction worker still in his work clothes, covered in drywall dust, white powder coating his pants, his boots, his hands, ordering 2 hot dogs because manual labour creates appetite, creates need, burns calories that must be replaced. Each transaction is simple, straightforward, practiced. You've done this so many times that the conversations follow predictable patterns, familiar scripts that you both know without thinking. What can I get you? How much? Have a good day. The words are automatic, the ritual of commerce, of exchange, of one person providing something another person needs. The fundamental transaction that underlies all business, all economy, all human cooperation. By 6 o'clock the light is fading, the winter sun setting early, disappearing behind buildings, behind the skyline of Manhattan visible in the distance. The streetlights come on automatically, sensors detecting darkness, responding, illuminating. The temperature drops further, noticeably, significantly. You can feel it happening, the cold deepening, becoming more aggressive, more insistent. The kind of cold that finds gaps in your layers, that creeps in through inadequate insulation, that makes bones ache, that penetrates despite your best efforts to stay warm. Your cart's propane flame becomes more visible as daylight fades, the orange-blue glow more prominent, more obvious, a beacon in the growing darkness. The steam from the hot dog tray becomes more dramatic, more visible, rising in white clouds that catch the streetlight, that swirl and dissipate, that look almost magical in the right light. almost like special effects, like movie magic, like something staged rather than simply the natural behaviour of heated water meeting cold air. Business slows gradually, as evening settles, as people head home for dinner, as the neighbourhood transitions from day to night, from public to private, from the street to the apartment, from community to family. The flow of pedestrians thins, becomes sporadic, occasional rather than constant. You have time between customers now, time to think, time to rest, time to feel the accumulated exhaustion of the day catching up, settling into your muscles, into your joints, into the deep places where fatigue lives. Around 6:30, a group of teenagers approaches, 4 of them high school age probably, 16 or 17, that awkward age between childhood and adulthood, where people are trying on different versions of themselves, testing identities, figuring out who they are, who they want to be. They're loud, energetic, pushing each other, laughing, performing for each other. That particular teenage quality of being simultaneously self-conscious and completely unself-conscious, caring deeply what others think while pretending not to care at all. They debate what to order, arguing good-naturedly, teasing each other about preferences, about tastes, about who's going to pay, about whether they have enough money, counting bills and coins, calculating, discussing options. Eventually, they settle on 2 hot dogs and a large bag of roasted nuts to share, dividing the cost among them, each contributing something, pooling resources the way young people do, the way people do when money is tight, when every dollar matters, when cooperation is necessary. You prepare their order while they continue their conversation. Something about a video game, about strategy, about who's better at it, about who's going to win the next time they play. The passionate certainty with which they argue about something that doesn't matter, that has no stakes beyond social status among friends. That intensity that teenagers bring to everything. That inability to modulate, to recognise that some things are less important than others, that not everything requires maximum emotional investment. They pay, take their food, move away, still arguing, still laughing, carrying with them that energy that makes you feel old, makes you remember being that age, having that kind of energy, that kind of freedom, that lack of responsibility, that sense that time stretched infinitely ahead, that the future was vast and full of possibility, that anything could happen, that you could be anyone, do anything, become whatever you wanted. Now you're 42, and you sell hot dogs from a cart in Queens, and your back hurts and your feet hurt, and you're tired in ways you never imagined when you were 17, when everything seemed possible, when you thought you'd be something else, someone else, somewhere else. But there's dignity here too, you remind yourself. There's value, there's purpose. You feed people, you provide a service, you're part of the neighbourhood's infrastructure, its daily functioning, its life support system. That matters. That means something, even if it's not what you imagined, even if it's not what you planned, even if the construction injury that brought you here still aches on cold days, still reminds you of the life you lost, the future that ended, the person you used to be, the small comfort of being needed, even in a city full of heroes. By 7:15, your inventory is running low, the day's supply nearly exhausted, which is good, which is what you want, which means you calculated correctly, ordered appropriately, didn't waste money on excess that would spoil, that you couldn't sell, that would become loss. A few hot dogs remain in the warming tray, maybe 5 or 6, the water level low, needing attention, needing refilling, but probably not worth it. Probably you'll sell out before it matters. A few pretzels left, the last of the batch, slightly darker than ideal, slightly over-browned but still edible, still saleable, still acceptable. The nuts are nearly gone, just the remnants at the bottom of the roasting drum, broken pieces, fragments, the accumulation of handling, of serving, of scooping portions throughout the day. You could sell a few more small portions, could stretch it, could make it work, but probably not many more, probably This is the day's limit, the natural endpoint where supply meets demand, where preparation meets reality. Around 7:30, your last regular of the day appears, a man whose name you've never learned, but whose face you know, whose order you know, whose schedule you know. Every Saturday evening, same time, give or take 15 minutes, 7:30 or 7:45, depending on when his shift ends, when he finishes work, when he makes it to the subway, when he emerges from underground. He works security somewhere. You've deduced, from the uniform, from the badge clip to his belt, from the radio on his shoulder, from the way he carries himself, alert, watchful, aware of his surroundings, in that particular way that security personnel have, that hypervigilance that comes from being paid to watch for problems, to anticipate threats, to prevent incidents. Coffee and a hot dog, he says, same order every time, never varies, consistent, reliable, predictable. Long shift, you ask, making conversation, filling the silence, being friendly, being personable, doing the social work that's part of the job. Part of what makes regulars become regulars, what makes customers come back, what builds relationships that sustain business beyond simple transactions. Always, he says, sighing, sounding tired, deeply tired. But the overtime's good. Christmas coming, kids want everything, wife wants everything, everybody wants everything. So I work every extra hour I can get. Gotta pay for it somehow. You nod, understanding, recognizing the same pressure you feel, the same economic reality that shapes so many lives. The need to work, the obligation to provide, the endless requirement to generate income sufficient to meet expenses that never stop, that only increase, that consume whatever you make and demand more. Rent and groceries and utilities and insurance and taxes and license fees and equipment, maintenance and propane refills and inventory costs and everything else, the thousand small expenses that add up to the cost of existing, of surviving, of maintaining a life in New York City in the 21st century. Good day today at least, you offer. Parade brought a lot of business. Spider-Man showed up, my kids said. They watched videos online on YouTube, couldn't stop talking about it. Wished they'd been here, wished they'd seen it in person. But what can you do? Someone's got to work, got to pay for the internet so they can watch videos. He laughs, but it's tired laughter, resignation more than humour. You hand him his order, he pays exact change, already counted, already prepared, organised and ready. Have a good evening, you tell him. You too, man. Stay warm out here. He walks toward the subway, toward home, toward family, toward whatever rest he can get before tomorrow's shift, before the cycle repeats, before he does it all again. By 8 o'clock, you're ready to close, ready to be done, ready to stop. The day has been longer than long, has been exhausting in ways that go beyond physical tiredness, that encompass mental fatigue, social exhaustion, the depletion that comes from interacting with hundreds of people, from being present, from being alert, from being professional for 14 hours straight, from maintaining the performance of cheerful service even when you're tired, even when you hurt, even when you want nothing more than to sit down, to rest, to be done. You begin the closing routine, the reverse of the opening routine, the undoing of what you built this morning. The process of transforming a functioning business back into a cart that can be moved, stored, secured, protected until tomorrow. This routine is as practiced as the opening, as automatic, as ingrained in muscle memory, through repetition, through hundreds of previous closings, through 3 years of doing this twice a day, morning and evening, set up and break down, beginning and ending. Turn off the propane first, the most important step, the safety step, the one you never skip, never forget, never rush through. Turn the valve slowly, carefully, listening for the hiss to stop, for the gas flow to cease, for the silence that means it's safe. That means there's no leak, no risk. Wait for the flame to die, to consume the remaining gas in the line, to go out naturally, blue to orange to nothing, extinguished, cold, safe. The sudden absence of heat is immediate, noticeable, the air around the cart cooling rapidly, the warmth disappearing, the cold reasserting itself, reclaiming the space. Remove the remaining hot dogs from the warming tray, the survivors, the ones that didn't sell, wrapping them carefully in foil, in plastic, sealing them, planning to take them home, planning to eat them tomorrow. Waste not, want not. Food is food is food. They're still warm, still good, perfectly edible, no reason to throw them away, no reason to waste them when you can use them, when they can become breakfast, lunch, dinner, sustenance, calories, fuel for your body that needs feeding just like everyone else. Empty the water reservoir, pouring it carefully into the gutter, watching it run away carrying bits of grease, small food particles, the accumulated residue of the day's work, flowing toward the sewer drain, toward the city's water system, toward treatment plants and rivers, and eventually the ocean. Everything connected, everything flowing, everything part of the larger cycle. The cash box comes next, and this is the moment you've been building toward all day. The moment of accounting, of calculating, of knowing. You count the money carefully, methodically, sorting bills by denomination. Ones in one pile, fives in another, tens in another, 20s if you have any. Stacking them neatly, organising them, making them flat, making them orderly. Then counting, your fingers moving through the bills, touching each one, making sure, being certain, no mistakes, no errors, accuracy matters, precision matters. This is how you know whether the day was successful, whether the effort was worth it, whether you made enough to justify the work, the time, the exhaustion. The bills total $437. The coins add another $23, $460 total. After subtracting the $93.40 you spent on inventory this morning, the cost of goods sold, the investment required to make money, you're left with $366.60 net profit. Your take, what you earned, what you made today through 14 hours of standing in December cold, serving hundreds of people, providing food and warmth and small moments of satisfaction to a neighbourhood. It's a good day, a very good day, better than average, significantly better, the Spider-Man, effect real and measurable and significant. On an ordinary Saturday, you'd make maybe 200, 250. This is 50% more, a huge increase, the kind of day that makes the slow days bearable, that makes up for winter's slow business, that helps you save, that gives you buffer, that provides security, that lets you breathe a little easier for a few days. You allow yourself a moment of satisfaction, of pride, of accomplishment. You earned this. Through preparation, through showing up, through working efficiently, through providing good service, through being in the right place at the right time, with the right attitude. This is the reward for all the invisible work, for the early mornings, for the cold, for the standing, for the exhaustion. This money represents possibility, represents security, represents time, represents life, represents your ability to continue existing, continue providing for yourself, continue maintaining independence, continue building something, continue surviving. You seal the money in a zippered bank bag, the kind with a lock, the kind that's designed for deposits, secure, tamper-evident. You'll deposit most of it Monday, keeping some as working capital, as the float you need for change, as the reserve for unexpected expenses, for emergencies, for the small crises that inevitably arise. But most of it goes to the bank, into your account, becoming numbers on a screen, becoming abstract rather than concrete, becoming part of your slowly growing savings, your buffer against disaster, your protection against crisis, your hope for eventual security. The cleaning begins next, and this is important, this matters. This is how you maintain equipment, how you prevent problems, how you extend the life of your tools, how you maintain standards, how you maintain pride. You spray down surfaces with diluted bleach solution, environmentally safe but strong enough to kill bacteria, to prevent contamination, to maintain hygiene, to keep the health inspectors happy when they randomly appear, when they check, when they evaluate. You scrub with a brush, removing stuck-on residue, removing grease, removing the accumulation of the day's work. The brush bristles scour metal surfaces, cleaning, polishing, restoring, making clean what was dirty, making new what was used, performing the small ritual of renewal that makes tomorrow possible. You rinse with clean water, washing away the cleaning solution, washing away loosened grime, washing away everything that doesn't belong, leaving only clean metal, clean surfaces, clean equipment ready for tomorrow's work. You dry with clean towels, removing water, preventing rust, preventing corrosion, maintaining equipment, protecting your investment, protecting your livelihood, protecting your future. The condiment bottles get wiped down, the exteriors cleaned, the labels checked, the caps secured. The serving utensils get washed, scrubbed, rinsed, dried, stored in their designated places. The menu board gets wiped clean of fingerprints, of smudges, of the day's accumulated touches. Everything gets attention, everything gets care, nothing is neglected, nothing is ignored, because every piece matters, every element contributes, every part must function for the whole to work. By 8:45, the cart is clean, organised, ready to be stored, ready to be locked away, ready to rest until tomorrow morning when the cycle begins again, when you wake at 4:30 and start the process over, when you do it all again, the eternal return, the repetition that structures life, that gives life meaning, that makes life possible. You push the cart back toward the storage lot, the wheels rumbling over pavement, that familiar sound, that comforting sound, the sound of work ending, of completion, of transition from work to rest. Roosevelt Avenue. At night is different from Roosevelt Avenue at morning. A different energy, a different atmosphere. More lights, neon signs advertising restaurants and bars and shops, glowing bright against the darkness. More noise, music from car stereos, conversations from people standing outside bars, the sounds of nightlife, of people who work day shifts and now have freedom, have time, have energy for leisure. The storage lot is quiet. Most vendors have already closed, already left, their carts lined up in neat rows, locked down, secured, waiting for tomorrow. You maneuver your cart into its designated space, back corner, same spot as always, familiar, reliable, home base. Lock the wheels, engage the brake, making sure it can't roll, can't move, can't be easily stolen or vandalized. Cover it with the tarp, heavy blue plastic, tied down with bungee cords, protecting against weather, against dust, against whatever the night might bring. Check everything one more time, visual inspection, making sure nothing is forgotten, nothing is left unsecured, nothing is at risk. Lock the storage lot's gate, hearing that satisfying click of the combination lock engaging, knowing it's secure, knowing it's safe, knowing you've done everything you can to protect your equipment, your investment, your livelihood. The walk home is slower than the morning's walk. Your body is tired, deeply tired, exhausted in ways that go beyond simple physical fatigue. Your feet hurt, genuine pain, the kind that makes each step an effort, that makes you want to stop, to sit, to rest, to take off your shoes and never put them on again. Your back aches, lower back, the place where your spine meets your pelvis, the stress point for people who stand all day, that protest against the unnatural position, against the work that evolution didn't design human bodies for. Your hands are raw from cold and water and handling money and touching metal all day, the skin dry, cracked in places, the price of winter vending, of working outside, of exposing your body to elements that want to break it down, wear it out, consume it. But there's satisfaction too, deep satisfaction, the kind that comes from knowing you worked hard and it paid off, that you did your job well, that you provided good service, that you earned good money, that the day was successful by any measure, that you have something to show for the effort, the exhaustion, the sacrifice. The money in your bank bag is real, tangible, concrete, proof that yes, this works, yes, you can do this, yes, you're succeeding at this thing you built from nothing, this business you created after the injury, after the fall, after your previous life ended and you had to begin again, had to reinvent yourself, had to find a new way to survive, to exist, to matter. You passed the bodega, Mr. Kim's place, and he's still there, still working, always working, the Korean work ethic that built businesses across New York, that transformed neighborhoods, that created success through pure effort, through refusing to stop, through outworking everyone else. He waves through the window, you wave back. Mutual recognition, mutual respect, fellow workers, fellow survivors, fellow people who make the neighborhood function. You pass the apartment building where Mr. Washington lives, the elderly man who stops to chat, wondering if he's watching TV now, if he's had dinner, if he's lonely in his apartment, if he misses his wife who died 2 years ago, if he'll live another year, another 5 years, another 10, or if one day soon you'll hear he died, that he didn't wake up, that his heart stopped or his lungs gave out, or his brain shut down. The inevitable end that comes for everyone, sooner or later, eventually, unavoidably. You reach your building, familiar, home, sanctuary. The lobby smells like cooking again. Different smells than morning, dinner smells, evening smells, garlic and onions and spices you can't name. The aromatic evidence of families eating together, of people gathered around tables, of the daily ritual of sharing food, of nourishing bodies and relationships, and the social bonds that make life bearable, that make survival worthwhile. Your apartment is dark, quiet, empty, in the way single-person apartments are empty. The absence of other people, the silence that's both relief and loneliness, both freedom and isolation. You don't mind. This is what you chose, what you have, what you've built, what you can afford, what makes sense for your life, for your circumstances, for who you are now. You shower longer than morning, taking time, letting hot water work on sore muscles, standing under the stream longer than is economical, longer than is efficient, allowing yourself this luxury, this indulgence, this small pleasure after a hard day. The water runs brown at first, dirt and grime, and the accumulated residue of 14 hours outside, washing away down the drain. The visible proof of work, of effort, of physical labour. You eat the leftover hot dogs, 2 of them, standing in the kitchen, not bothering with a plate, eating, mechanically, refueling, giving your body what it needs, calories and protein and sustenance. They're good enough, adequate, serviceable. You've eaten worse, you've been hungrier. By 10:30 you're in bed, exhausted, ready to sleep, ready to let go, ready to surrender to unconsciousness. Tomorrow is Sunday, another shift, another day. But Sunday is different, Sunday is quieter, Sunday is gentler. Sunday allows for breathing room, for slower pace, for less intensity. Sunday you can manage, Sunday you can handle. Sunday is almost rest, almost recovery, almost enough. Your body sinks into the mattress, into that familiar Marcus-shaped depression, fitting perfectly, finding its place, finding comfort. The radiator clanks its evening song. The pipes expand and contract. The building breathes around you, containing you, protecting you, sheltering you from winter, from night, from the world. And you think about the day, about Spider-Man landing 20 feet away, about his voice saying, "Don't forget to tip your street vendors," about being seen, being acknowledged, being recognized as important, as essential, as worthy of attention, about the little boy in the Spider-Man costume insisting on tipping because his hero said to, because someone with power used that power to redirect attention, to say that ordinary workers matter, that the people who feed neighborhoods matter, that you matter, the small comfort of being needed. Even in a city full of heroes, sleep comes easily, quickly, pulling you down into darkness, into rest, into the temporary death that restores life, that makes tomorrow possible, that allows you to begin again. Sunday morning arrives gentler than Saturday. The alarm at 4:30 feels different somehow, softer, less aggressive, though of course it's the same alarm, the same phone, the same sound. The physics of sound waves don't change with days of the week, but your body perceives it differently. Your mind interprets it through the lens of what Sunday means, through the understanding that today will be quieter, slower, less demanding, more forgiving. The radiator still clanks, the streetlights still cast their orange glow. The city still breathes in that particular pre-dawn rhythm. But something is different, some quality of anticipation, some knowledge that today you won't push as hard, won't need to push as hard, that Sunday allows for a different pace, a different relationship with time, with work, with yourself. You move through the morning routine with the same efficiency but less urgency. Shower, coffee, breakfast, the familiar sequence, but taking slightly more time, breathing slightly more deeply, allowing yourself small graces, small moments of ease. The coffee tastes better when you're not rushing, when you can actually taste it rather than simply consuming it as fuel, as caffeine delivery system, as the chemical requirement for consciousness. The walk to the storage lot is peaceful at this hour on Sunday, even quieter than Saturday, even more yours, even more like you own these streets, like you're the only person awake, like the city is sleeping and you're the one watching over it, keeping guard, maintaining presence while others rest. Fewer delivery trucks, fewer early workers, just you and the streetlights and the cold December air and the sound of your footsteps on empty sidewalk, echoing slightly, announcing your passage through silent streets. The cart setup follows the same sequence as always, muscle memory guiding you through each step, each action, each small task that transforms potential into reality, that changes metal and food into a functioning business, into service, into provision, into the work that feeds a neighbourhood. But today there's less pressure, less rush, less feeling that every minute matters, that efficiency is everything, that you must maximise every moment. Sunday allows for breathing. Sunday allows for being rather than only doing. Sunday allows for the space between tasks, the pause between customers, the moment of rest that Saturday's intensity doesn't permit, that Saturday's crowd doesn't allow, that Saturday's opportunity demands you sacrifice. By 6:15, you're positioned at your corner, ready, operational, the cart giving off its familiar warmth, its small heat in the cold morning, its promise of food and comfort and small satisfactions. The smell of roasting nuts begins its work, drifting down the sidewalk, that invisible advertisement, that sensory hook that draws people without them fully understanding why, without them consciously deciding, just following their nose, following that deep biological response to the smell of roasted food, of calories, of sustenance. The first customer arrives at 6:35, 12 minutes later than yesterday. A small difference that somehow feels significant, that confirms Sunday's different rhythm, Sunday's gentler pace. An elderly woman you recognise, carrying a shopping bag, heading to the early service at the Catholic church 3 blocks away, St. Sebastian's, the old stone building with the stained glass windows, where Mass begins at 7, where the faithful gather before the rest of the neighbourhood wakes, where prayers rise while others sleep. "Just coffee, please," she says, her voice soft, respectful of the morning's quiet. "Black, no sugar." You pour carefully, making sure it's hot, but not too hot. Drinkable, warming. She pays exact change, coins counted out from a small purse, methodical, precise. "God bless you," she says, taking the cup carefully. "You too," you reply, meaning it, appreciating the blessing even if you're not sure you believe, appreciating the kindness, the well-wishing, the sense that someone is sending good thoughts your way, that someone cares about your well-being, even if they're a stranger, even if this is the only interaction you'll have, even if you'll never know each other's names. The morning progresses in this gentle rhythm. Customers arrive, but not in rush, not in flood, in a trickle, in small groups, in ones and twos rather than dozens, rather than crowds. Each transaction has space around it, has air, has room to breathe, room to exist without pressure, without urgency, without the feeling that someone is waiting, that you're holding up a line, that efficiency is everything. You serve a man walking his dog, a big golden retriever that pants happily, that wags its tail, that radiates that particular dog energy of pure joy in existence, in walking, in being outside, in experiencing the world through smell and sight and sound. The dog sniffs at your cart, interested, curious, non-judgmental. The man orders coffee and roasted almonds, feeds a few almonds to the dog, who crunches them enthusiastically. Beautiful morning, the man says, and you agree, even though it's cold, even though it's December, even though by most objective measures this is not beautiful, is actually harsh, uncomfortable, challenging. But there's something in his tone, something in his appreciation, something in his ability to find beauty in coldness, in stillness, in the particular quality of winter morning light that makes you see it differently, that makes you notice what you've stopped noticing, that makes you pay attention to the world rather than just moving through it. Around 8, a family emerges from the subway, parents and 2 children, dressed for church, wearing their Sunday clothes, the children in dresses and button-down shirts, uncomfortable probably, too formal, too restricting, but wearing them because Sunday requires it, because tradition requires it, because some things matter enough to dress up for, to make effort for, to show respect through presentation. The parents buy pretzels for the children, something to keep them occupied during the service, something to prevent fidgeting, prevent complaining, prevent the particular challenge of keeping young children still and quiet for an hour. That parental struggle that happens every Sunday, in churches and synagogues and mosques and temples across the city, across the world, the eternal battle between children's energy and religious requirement for stillness, for attention, for reverence. The children accept the pretzels gratefully, immediately begin eating, tearing off pieces, getting salt on their fingers, on their Sunday clothes, their mother immediately correcting them, telling them to be careful, to not make a mess, to eat over the napkin, the eternal parental work of managing children, of teaching them, of trying to instill habits that will serve them, that will make them functional adults, that will allow them to move through the world successfully. By 9:30 you've been working for 3 hours and you're not tired yet, not depleted, not running on fumes and willpower and caffeine and nothing else. Sunday's pace is sustainable. Sunday's rhythm doesn't demand everything you have, doesn't extract every ounce of energy, doesn't leave you hollow, empty, used up. You take a moment to just stand, to just be, to just exist without doing anything, without serving anyone, without performing any task, just breathing, just being present, just noticing the world around you, the way sunlight catches on windows across the street, creating reflections, creating patterns of light and shadow, creating beauty that no one designed, that just happens, that just exists, that's free, that's available to anyone who stops to notice, to see, to pay attention. The way the subway makes the sidewalk vibrate slightly when trains pass underneath, that tremor, that reminder of the infrastructure beneath, the machinery that moves millions of people every day, the engineering that makes the city possible, that makes density possible, that allows 8 million people to exist in a space that shouldn't be able to hold them, that makes the impossible actual, the theoretical real. The way people walk differently on Sunday than on weekdays, more slowly, less purposefully, less driven by destination, and more present in journey, more willing to stop, to look, to notice, to exist in the moment, rather than always rushing toward the next moment, the next obligation, the next requirement. This is why you do this work, you think. Not for the money, though the money matters, though the money is necessary, though without money nothing else is possible. But for this, for being part of the neighbourhood's rhythm, for being part of the infrastructure that makes life possible, for being part of the small transactions that accumulate into community, into connection, into the complex web of interdependence that makes cities work, that makes human life at this scale possible. You feed people. Simple work, ordinary work, invisible work most of the time, but essential work, necessary work, work that matters even if it's not celebrated, even if no one writes articles about it, even if it doesn't make you a hero, doesn't make you special, doesn't make you anything except someone who shows up every day and does what needs doing and makes it possible for other people to live their lives. The small comfort of being needed, even in a city full of heroes. By noon the morning is complete, the rhythm winding down, approaching the midpoint, the transition from morning to afternoon. You've served maybe 50 people, maybe 60, a fraction of yesterday's crowd, a fraction of yesterday's intensity, a fraction of yesterday's revenue. But enough, sufficient, adequate, successful in its own right, by its own measures, according to its own standards. The work continues steady, sustainable, manageable. One customer at a time, one transaction at a time, one moment at a time. Not rushing toward anything, not pushing for anything, just being here, just doing this, just serving whoever arrives, whoever needs food, whoever wants warmth, whoever seeks the small comfort of hot coffee on a cold afternoon. And as the afternoon stretches toward evening, as Sunday's gentle hours accumulate, as the work continues in its steady rhythm, you feel yourself settling into the routine, settling into the comfort of repetition, settling into the peace that comes from doing one thing, doing it adequately, doing it with attention, with care, with the quiet pride of craftsmanship, even in simple tasks, even in ordinary work, even in work that most people never notice, never acknowledge, never see, but you see it, you know it, you feel it, this work, this life, this small corner of Queens, this cart, this corner, these customers, this neighbourhood, this belonging. The light fades slowly, winter sunset, the sky turning from blue to grey to darker grey, street lights coming on, one by one, automatic sensors responding to darkness, providing light, providing visibility, providing safety. Your hands move through familiar motions, preparing food, pouring coffee, making change, the rhythm so practiced, so automatic, that your mind can wander, can drift, can think about other things, about yesterday's Spider-Man moment, about being seen, about mattering, about the small ways that acknowledgement changes things, makes ordinary work feel less ordinary, makes invisible workers feel less invisible, makes you feel less alone. The cold deepens as night comes, but it's familiar cold now, expected cold, manageable cold, the kind you've learned to work with, to work through, to accept as part of the job, part of the season, part of what winter means in Queens. By closing time, 8 o'clock, Sunday evening, you're tired but not exhausted, ready to stop but not desperate to stop, satisfied with the day's work, satisfied with the effort, satisfied with what you've provided, who you've served, what you've accomplished. The closing routine unfolds, propane off, waiting for the flame to die, watching it fade, blue to orange to nothing, cold metal, still air, equipment becoming dormant, resting, waiting for tomorrow, cleaning, the familiar sequence, spray, scrub, rinse, dry, restore, making clean, making ready, preparing for tomorrow even as you finish today, the cycle continuing, eternal, reliable, comforting in its predictability, the money counted, less than yesterday, but enough, sufficient, meeting needs, if not exceeding them, sustainable, viable, proof that this works, that you can do this, that you have built something that functions, that survives, that provides. Walking home through Sunday evening streets, quieter than Saturday, fewer people out, families inside eating dinner, resting, preparing for Monday, for the work week, for the return to intensity, to schedules, to requirements. Your apartment welcomes you, dark, quiet, yours, sanctuary, protection, the place where you can finally stop, finally rest, finally let go of the performance of service, of professionalism, of being present for others, and just be yourself, alone, private, free, shower, hot water on tired muscles, washing away the day, the cold, the work, the accumulated exhaustion, feeling it flow away down the drain, leaving you clean, leaving you lighter, leaving you ready for rest, food, simple, adequate, not pleasure, but function, not celebration, but sustenance, giving your body what it needs, what it requires, what it must have to continue, to work tomorrow, to begin again. And then bed, finally, gratefully, your body finding that familiar depression in the mattress, that Marcus-shaped space, fitting perfectly, belonging home. The radiator clanks its evening song. The building breathes around you, protecting, sheltering, holding, and you're settling now, settling deeper, the day's work done, the cart secured, the money counted, everything complete, everything finished, everything released. Your breathing slows, deepens, steadies, in and out, in and out. The rhythm of rest, the pattern of sleep approaching. The parade feels distant now, yesterday's intensity, fading like memory, like a story someone told you, like something that happened to someone else. In another time, another place, Spider-Man swinging past, landing on the lamppost, his voice saying, "Don't forget to tip your street vendors." That moment of being seen, of being acknowledged, of mattering. Drifting now, thoughts becoming softer, less connected, fragments, images, feelings rather than words. The boy in the Spider-Man costume, insisting on tipping, learning heroism, learning kindness, learning to see workers, to acknowledge effort, to recognize the dignity in ordinary work. You're breathing even slower now, deeper, each breath carrying you further, down, down, into rest, into release, into the darkness that heals, that restores, that makes tomorrow possible. The small comfort of being needed, even in a city full of heroes, even in a neighborhood full of extraordinary things, even when you're just ordinary, just a vendor, just someone feeding people, just someone showing up, day after day, doing simple work, necessary work, invisible work that makes everything else possible. Your body heavy now, sinking, the mattress holding you, supporting you, the weight of exhaustion becoming the weight of peace, of completion, of rest earned through effort, through showing up, through doing what needed doing. Queens breathing around you, 8 million people sleeping and waking, working and resting, the city's vast machinery continuing, and you part of it, small part, ordinary part, essential part. The rhythm of your breathing matches the city's rhythm, slow, steady, reliable, in, out, barely noticing now, automatic, necessary, life continuing even as consciousness fades, thoughts fragmenting, losing coherence, losing connection, just feelings, sensations, the comfort of blankets, the warmth of shelter, the peace of completion, everything done, everything finished, permission to stop, to rest, to let go. Spider-Man's voice, fading, distant. Don't forget to tip your street vendors, becoming echo, becoming memory, becoming dream. The boy's face lighting up, proud, heroic, learning, becoming, fading too, dissolving into sleep, into darkness, into rest. your corner. Roosevelt and 74th, your cart, your work, your place, becoming abstract, becoming distant, becoming tomorrow's problem, not tonight's. Tonight is just rest, just sleep, just letting go, breathing, barely aware of it now, happening without thought, without effort, just in, out, slow, steady, quiet, the small comfort of being needed, even in a city full of heroes, the comfort of being needed, the comfort of being, the comfort, breathing, sleep, rest, tomorrow will come, but tonight, just this, just breathing, just being, just good night.